Introduction. The prisoner with the key in his pocket. Imagine a man locked in a dark cell. The walls are made of cold, damp, solid stone. The door is solid iron, rusted by time, with no handle visible from the inside. This man has spent his entire life studying the door. He has memorized every rivet, every crack. He has beaten the metal until his knuckles bled. He has shouted, begging for help from guards who never respond. He has prayed for the door to open magically. He has paid other prisoners to tell him stories of freedom. He has cried in helplessness, convinced that his fate is to die in that confinement. The tragedy of this story is not the confinement. The tragedy is that the door has never been locked, or worse, the door has a lock, but the master key has always been in the prisoner's own trouser pocket. He never looked for it there. Why would he? He was taught from childhood that freedom comes from outside. They told him the guard has the key, the judge has the key, luck has the key. No one ever told him that he was the warden of his own prison. You are that man, you are that woman. You have spent years, perhaps decades, looking for the solution to your problems in the outside world. You have sought wealth in the economy, health in medicine, love in people, and peace in circumstances. You have tried to manipulate matter with your hands. You have worked to exhaustion. You have studied strategies and followed gurus, hoping that someone would finally open the door for you. But the door remains closed, or it opens for a moment, only to slam shut in your face with the first crisis. This book is not another tool to hit the door harder. I'm not going to teach you to scream louder so the universe will hear you. This book is the moment when you stop looking at the door and reach into your own pocket. The premise we are going to explore is radical and, for the ego, terrifying. Nothing exists out there that has power over you unless you grant it. The economy does not impoverish you. Your consciousness of scarcity does. The virus does not make you sick. Your vibratory vulnerability allows it. Loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the disconnection from your own source. What you hold in your hands is the manual for the inner master key. It is called master because it doesn't open just one door. It opens them all. The same law that heals a body fills a bank account. The same energy that repairs a relationship creates an empire. There are no different keys for different problems. There is only one cause and therefore only one solution. Prepare to feel vertigo. We are going to dismantle the illusion that you are a victim of circumstances. We are going to show you that physical reality is not a wall, but a mirror. And the mirror will not smile at you until you smile at it first. Chapter 1. The Great Hypnosis. Dismantling the illusion of matter. Hit the table in front of you. Feel the pain in your knuckles. Listen to the dry, blunt sound of the impact. Look at the wall before you. It seems impenetrable. Touch your body. It feels dense, heavy, vulnerable to cuts and blows. Look at your bank account. The red numbers seem like an unmovable sentence. Look at the medical diagnosis. The paper seems to dictate your biological destiny. Your senses scream a single truth, a truth you have accepted without question since the moment you opened your eyes at birth. The world is real, solid, and independent of you. This is the great hypnosis. It is the foundational lie upon which the prison of humanity has been built. It is the belief that matter is the cause and consciousness is the effect. It is the conviction that you are a small biological accident moving in a universe of dead objects and indifferent forces that you must manipulate with physical effort to survive. But this book begins with a demolition. Before you can use the master key, you must understand that the lock you are trying to open is not made of steel. It is made of smoke. If you continue to believe that your problems are solid, you will never be able to dissolve them. If you believe the outside world is objective, you cannot change it. To be the master, you must first wake up from the dream of matter. You must dare to look behind the curtain of reality and discover that the Wizard of Oz is not a giant. It is your own consciousness projecting shadows on the wall. The atomic void, the cathedral of nothingness. Let's start with hard science. You don't need blind faith, you need physics. For centuries, Newtonian science told us the universe was made of solid building blocks called atoms, tiny billiard balls colliding with each other. This mechanistic view created a materialistic civilization. But more than 100 years ago, quantum physics opened the door of the atom and looked inside. What they found horrified the materialists and vindicated the mystics. The atom is not solid. To give you an idea of the scale, imagine the nucleus of an atom was the size of a basketball, and we placed it in the center of a city. The electrons orbiting around it would be on the outskirts of the city, kilometers away. What is between the basketball and the outskirts of the city? Nothing. Empty space. In fact, the atom is 99.9% empty space. And since everything you call matter is made of atoms, then you are 99.99999% void. If you were to remove the empty space from all the human beings on the planet, 8 billion people, the entire human race would fit into the volume of a sugar cube. So why can't you walk through the wall? Why do your knuckles hurt when you hit the table? It is not because you touch matter. It is because the electromagnetic fields of the atoms in your hand repel the electromagnetic fields of the atoms in the table. What you feel as solidity is actually resistance of energy fields. It is force, not mass. It is a very convincing sensory illusion designed to allow the experience of separation. But it is still an illusion. Metaphysically, this means something devastating to your old belief system. There is nothing out there. The world around you is not made of things. It is made of energy vibrating at different frequencies, and energy is moldable. Energy responds to intention. Energy is not an obstacle, it is clay. Now the observer effect, the menu of probabilities. If the atom is almost all void, what is that 0.01% we call a particle? Here the rabbit hole goes deeper. Quantum physics discovered that subatomic particles, the bricks of reality, do not exist in a definite place until they are observed. When you don't look, the electron behaves like a wave. It is a diffuse possibility. It is everywhere and nowhere at once. It is pure potentiality. When you look, when there is a conscious observer, the wave collapses and becomes a particle. It localizes. It becomes real. This is called the collapse of the wave function. This is not philosophical theory, it is a proven laboratory fact. Matter needs consciousness to exist as such. Without an observer, the universe is a soup of infinite probabilities. It is a quantum menu where all possible dishes are available, but none are served on the table until you order them. Let's apply this to your life. This is the first turn of the key. Your current problem, debt, illness, loneliness, is not a solid, fixed reality. It is a wave that you are collapsing into a particle every morning with your sustained observation. You are the observer. By waking up and thinking, I am broke, you are forcing quantum energy to collapse into the form of unpaid bills. By looking in the mirror and thinking, I am old and sick, you are forcing your cells to obey that pattern. The universe is not punishing you. The universe is simply responding to your act of observation. It is giving you the particle you are looking for. The great hypnosis consists of believing the particle was already there. The master truth is that the particle appears because you look at it. Third, the lie of the senses, the filter of reality. Now you will say, but I see reality with my own eyes. My eyes do not lie. Your eyes are the greatest liars in history. The electromagnetic spectrum is immense. It includes radio waves, microwaves, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, X-rays, and gamma rays. Of all that infinite spectrum of reality, your eyes can only perceive a tiny strip, less than 0.0035%. You are blind to 99% of what is happening around you. Your senses are not designed to show you the truth. They are designed for biological survival. They are filters. Their function is to discard information, not reveal it. Your brain receives millions of bits of information per second, but only processes about 2,000. What does it do with the rest? It deletes it. And how does it decide what to show you and what to delete? Based on your beliefs and your attention. If you believe the world is dangerous, your reticular activating system will filter everything that is goodness, beauty, and opportunity, and only let through news of crimes and threats. Literally, you will not see the opportunity even if it is in front of you. Your brain will hide it to prove you right. You live in an edited reality. You live in a movie where you are the director, the screenwriter, and the only spectator, but you have forgotten that you have control of the projector. The great hypnosis is to confuse the map, what your limited senses show you, with the territory, infinite reality. When you say there are no opportunities, you are lying. You should say, my current beliefs prevent me from perceiving the infinite opportunities that surround me at this instant. 5V, the screen and the projector, the error of reaction. Imagine you are in a cinema. A horror movie is projected on the screen. Senses of fear arise, your heart races. Suddenly, you get up from your seat, run to the screen, and start shouting at the monster. You try to clean the blood off the screen with a cloth. You try to cover the villain with your hands. Everyone would look at you as if you were crazy. You know you cannot change the movie by touching the screen. The screen is only the place where the light hits. If you want to change the movie, you have to go to the projection booth and change the film roll. Your life is the screen. Your current circumstances, your bank balance, your partner, your body, are the projected image. Your consciousness, your beliefs, assumptions, and deep feelings, is the projector. The movie is the light of your imagination passing through the roll of your assumptions. The great hypnosis makes you believe the screen is real. You spend your life fighting the screen. You fight against people, the economy, the virus. That is as useless as shouting at the cinema. Even if you clean a spot on the screen, the projector will keep sending the same image, and the spot will reappear in the next frame. That is why forced external changes never last. That is why the lottery winner who doesn't change their mind becomes poor again. To use the master key, you must turn your back to the screen. You must stop reacting to what you see. You must understand that what you see today is the trace of your thoughts from yesterday. It is a dead star, its light reaches you now. Your current circumstances are the echo of your past vibrations. If you react to them, you are feeding the projector with the same film roll. You are perpetuating the past. To change the future, you must ignore the sensory present and inhabit the imaginative reality. Feel the delay time, the mirage of permanence. One of the reasons why hypnosis is so powerful is delay time. In the quantum world, thought, change is instantaneous. In the physical world, dense matter, change takes time. Matter is viscous. It takes time to reorganize. When you change your mind, reality does not change in a second. The mirror takes time to reflect the new image. During that interval, the ego panics. I've thought positively for 2 days, and I still have no money. This doesn't work. And by saying this doesn't work, you abort the process. You put the old film roll back in. You must understand the physics of gestation. If you plant a seed, you don't see the sprout the next day. But if you dig up the earth to see if it grows, you kill the seed. The great hypnosis tells you, if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. The master key tells you, if I have imagined it, it already exists. It is just traveling through time to find me. Matter is just spirit moving slowly. Give it time to catch up with you. Versus addiction to problems, biochemistry of the prison. There is a physiological reason for hypnosis. Your body is addicted to the reality you know, even if it is painful. Every emotion, fear, anger, sadness, releases specific peptides and hormones into your bloodstream. Your cells have receptors for those chemicals. If you have lived in stress and scarcity for 10 years, your cells are addicted to cortisol and adrenaline. When you try to change your mind, your cells stop receiving their dose of suffering. Then, the body sends signals to the brain. Hey, where is my fear? Where is my dose of victimhood? And the brain, obedient, generates negative thoughts to provoke the emotion and feed the cellular addiction. You start feeling anxiety without reason. This is not destiny being against you. It is your body having withdrawal syndrome from your old self. The great hypnosis is biological. Dismantling the illusion requires the will to cross this chemical valley of death. You must be stronger than your body. You must impose your new vision over your old sensations. Tev, the solidity of the obstacle. Why the wall seems real. Why does the problem seem so solid? Because you have given it your attention. Attention is the glue of reality. That from which you withdraw your attention vanishes and dies. That to which you pay attention is nourished and grows. Every time you talk about your illness, you solidify it. Every time you obsessively review your debts, you solidify them. You are using your divine power to create monsters. Matter has no power of its own. A stone has no will. A tumor has no intention. A banknote has no intrinsic value. You lend them your life. It is you who animates matter with fear or love. The obstacle seems giant because you are on your knees. The great hypnosis makes you feel small before your own creation. It is like an architect terrified of the building he designed himself. Fakey, the paradox of acceptance and denial. To dismantle the illusion, you must practice a subtle paradox. You must accept the present moment as a fact, not resist it, because resistance creates persistence. But you must deny its final authority over you. Jesus said, "Resist not evil," and he also said, "Deny yourself." This means, do not fight the screen. Simply withdraw your attention from it and place it on the solution. Indifference is the most powerful weapon against unwanted matter. If you ignore a problem out of conviction that it is already solved in the causal plane, you cut off its oxygen supply. You take away the particle and return it to the wave. The awakening of the lucid dreamer. Life is a lucid dream. When you dream at night, everything seems real. Monsters scare you. If you fall, you feel vertigo. But if in the middle of the dream you realize you are dreaming, lucidity, the fear disappears. You no longer run from the monster. You turn around and transform it into a butterfly. You know you are the dreamer, and that the dream happens inside you, not you inside the dream. The great hypnosis is believing you are awake when you are actually dreaming the collective dream of humanity, the dream of scarcity, disease, and death. The master key is the moment of lucidity. It is the moment you look at your life and say, "This seems real, it feels real, it hurts as if it were real. But it is a projection of my mind, and since I am the projector, I can change the movie." Chapter 2. The Guardian of the Threshold, the Ego versus the Observer. You have understood the great hypnosis. You know intellectually that the world is a mirror and that matter is condensed energy. You are ready to take the master key and turn it. You approach the door of conscious creation, determined to change your life, to heal your body, to multiply your income, to attract love. And then, just as you are about to cross the threshold, something stops you. It is not a brick wall, it is not a government law, it is not an external enemy, it is a voice in your head, it is a feeling of vertigo in your stomach, it is a sudden paralysis, a suffocating doubt, an inexplicable procrastination or a ridiculous sabotage. It makes you trip just before the finish line. You have met the guardian of the threshold. In all mythologies, before entering the treasure temple, the hero must defeat a monster. In depth, psychology, and operative spirituality, that monster is not a scaled dragon, it is your own ego. The guardian is not there to kill you, although it sometimes seems so. It is there to protect you from the unknown. But its definition of protection is to keep you small, safe, and stuck in what is known, even if the known is hell. To use the master key, you must know who you are. If you try to use the key while being the ego, the key will not turn. The ego has no real creative power, it only has repetitive power. The only one who can turn the key is the observer. This chapter is the combat manual for the most important battle of your existence, the struggle for the throne of your own consciousness. Hear the biology of the guardian, why your brain wants you to fail. To defeat the ego, you must stop seeing it as a spiritual demon and start understanding it as a biological mechanism. The ego is not bad. The ego is the survival operating system of your biological avatar. Its main function, dictated by millions of years of evolution, is homeostasis. Homeostasis is the tendency of a system to maintain its internal state constant. Your body fights to keep your temperature at 36.5 degrees. If it goes up or down, the body panics and activates defense mechanisms to return to the set point. Your psyche works the same way. You have a financial thermostat, a happiness thermostat, and a health thermostat. If you have identified for years as someone who struggles to make ends meet, that is your set point. When you try to change, when you visualize abundance and start acting as a wealthy being, the ego detects a fever. It detects that you are moving away from the known zone. For the ego, the unknown, done death. It doesn't care that the unknown is better. It only cares that it is different. Then, the guardian of the threshold is activated. It releases cortisol, stress hormone. It throws thoughts of doubt at you. Its goal is not to make you unhappy. Its goal is to return you to the safety of your known misery. The guardian tells you, don't open that door. Inside here, in the cell, at least we know there is food and shelter. Outside, there could be lions. The first step to disarming the guardian is to thank it for its intention but ignore its advice. Understand that the anxiety you feel when trying to change is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. It is the sign that you are leaving homeostasis. It is the sign that you are growing. 2. The voice in the head, the false narrator. The guardian's main tool is internal dialogue. Most human beings live merged with the voice in their head. They believe they are the voice. Descartes committed the greatest philosophical error in history by saying, "I think, therefore I am." False. You do not exist because you think. You exist and have thoughts. Test it right now. Close your eyes and say mentally, "I am rich." Immediately you will likely hear another voice saying, "Liar, look at your bank account," or "That's nonsense." That second voice is the ego. It is the narrator. That narrator is constantly telling a story about who you are, based on the past and your traumas. I am shy. I am poor. I have bad luck in love. These are not absolute truths. They are scripts repeated so many times they have solidified into neural networks. The ego is a bundle of memories. It has no existence of its own in the present. It only exists when you remember the past or project the past toward the future. When you are absolutely present, in the radical now, the ego disappears. The master key does not work if you hand it to the narrator. The narrator will always tell you why the door cannot be opened. You must find the one who listens to the narrator. 3. The awakening of the observer, the silent witness. Who listens to the voice in your head? Who notices that you are afraid? That who has no name, it has no history, it has no form. It is the observer. It is pure consciousness. It is the I am before adding any adjective. The observer is the divine dimension in you. It is the fragment of God experiencing human life. Unlike the ego, the observer is not afraid. It cannot be damaged, it cannot be offended, it cannot die. The observer does not try to change reality. The observer is reality. The operative key of this book is the change of identity. You must stop being the character ego to be the player observer. Imagine a video game. The character on the screen can be hit, can fall into traps, can lose coins. If you believe you are the character, you will suffer every time you lose. But if you remember you are the player holding the controller, you know the character is only a vehicle. You have distance, you have perspective, and most importantly, you have the power to restart the game or change the strategy without fear. To use the master key, you must place yourself in the consciousness of the observer. This is called metacognition, the ability to think about your own thoughts. When you say, "I feel that I'm afraid," you are identified with the ego. When you say, "I observe that my body is experiencing a sensation of fear," you are in the observer. You have created a space between you and the experience. In that space resides all your power. Via the technique of disidentification, I have versus I am. Language is the programming code of reality. The ego uses the verb to be to trap you. It says, "I am depressed. I am anxious. I am poor." By using I am, you are merging your divine identity with a temporary condition. You are tying the master key to a stone and throwing it to the bottom of the sea. The observer corrects the language. The observer says, "I have depressive thoughts at this moment. I am experiencing a temporary state of financial scarcity. I feel a vibration of anxiety in my chest." It seems like a play on words, but it is quantum engineering. What you have, you can let go. What you are, you cannot. If you are depressed, there is no cure because it is your identity. If you have depressive thoughts, you can change them for others, just like you change your clothes. The guardian of the threshold tries to convince you that your problems are your identity. The observer knows you are the sky, not the weather. V, the ego's terror of death. Why does the guardian fight so hard? Why is self-sabotage so strong when you are about to triumph? Because for the ego, your evolution feels like its death. If you become a confident, abundant, and happy person, the old me, the victim, the struggler, will cease to exist, and the ego wants to live. It feeds on your attention and your drama. A victim ego feeds on the compassion of others and on complaints. If you take away the complaint, you starve it. A proud ego feeds on being right and on conflict. If you stop arguing, you starve it. When you start using the master key, the ego enters existential panic. It will throw emotional cluster bombs at you. Sudden panic attacks, irrational anger, deep sadness without reason. It is what mysticism calls the dark night of the soul. The Pharaoh's armies pursue you furiously because you are escaping from slavery. Do not be afraid when this happens. Celebrate. It means the guardian is terrified because it knows you're about to cross the threshold. Turbulence is the confirmation that you are taking off. Do not stop the plane. Do not kill the guardian, integrate it. There is a common error in modern spirituality. The ego must be killed. You cannot kill the ego as long as you have a physical body. You need the ego to remember your address, to not cross the street without looking, to know your name is John. The ego is an excellent servant but a terrible master. The problem is not having an ego. The problem is that the ego is sitting on the king's throne. Treat the guardian of the threshold not as an enemy, but as a scared watchdog. The dog barks because it believes the mailman, your new life of abundance, is a threat. Do not hit the dog. Do not fight with it. Simply take command. Tell it with authority and calm. Thank you for trying to protect me. I see you. But I am in charge now. It is safe to open the door. Radical acceptance dissolves resistance. If you fight against your negative thoughts, you give them energy. If you observe them, smile at them, and let them pass without inviting them for tea, they lose their strength. The observer does not fight. The observer transcends. Light does not fight against darkness. It simply shines, and darkness ceases to exist. 7. The quantum operator, collapsing the wave intentionally. Let's return to the physics of Chapter 1. Reality is a wave of probabilities. The observer collapses the wave. The problem is that 95% of the time, the one observing in your life is the ego. And the ego observes from fear and memory. The ego looks at the bank account and collapses the wave of scarcity. The ego is a reactive observer. It creates more of the same. To use the master key, you must awaken the intentional observer. The intentional observer does not look at what is, the screen. It looks at what can be, the imagination. It has the capacity to hold a vision that contradicts the current reality. That capacity to hold the double vision, seeing the physical problem but feeling the vibratory solution, is the mark of the master. When you get the observer to take command, you stop reacting to the world. You start imposing your frequency upon chaos. The observer chooses to collapse the wave of the solution. Theta, the test of silence, the space between thoughts. How do you find the observer? Where does it live? It lives in silence. The ego is noise. The self is silence. Between one thought and the next, there is a small gap, a microsecond of nothingness. There is the door. To access the master key, you must practice inhabiting that gap. You don't need to go to a mountain to meditate for 10 years. You can do it now. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, what will my next thought be? And observe. Wait. In that state of alertness, of waiting, there is a silence. You are there, lucid, present, but you are not thinking. That is the state of pure presence. That is the state from which the keys of reality are turned. When you operate from that silence, your decrees have nuclear power. A thought launched from the ego's mental noise is a blank bullet. A thought launched from the observer's silence is a laser beam. Right, the surrender of the throne. The goal of this chapter is an internal coup d'etat. You must dethrone the false king, ego guardian, and crown the true king, observer on self. This requires constant vigilance. At first, the ego will retake the throne 100 times a day. You will catch yourself worrying, judging, or fearing. Do not punish yourself. Punishment is an ego tactic. Simply notice, look, the guardian has closed the door again. and gently, with the dignity of a monarch, return to the center, return to observation. Every time you notice that you have fallen into unconsciousness, you have won, because the act of noticing is consciousness returning. Victory is not never falling. Victory is shortening the time it takes you to get back up. Chapter 3. The Identity Code. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. You have dismantled the illusion of matter. You have identified the guardian that sabotages your entry. Now you stand with the master key in hand before the door of your desires. And you commit the error that has kept humanity on its knees for millennia. You ask. You say, I want to be rich. I want to heal. I want to find love. And the door remains closed. Or worse, it opens a crack to show you what is possible and denies it to you, leaving you with the bitterness of frustration. Why does the law of attraction fail for most people? Because they have misunderstood the fundamental physics of creation. They believe the universe is a kind of cosmic Santa Claus. They think it rewards good children, or those who ask very loudly. Nothing is further from the truth. The universe is not a moral entity that judges your merits. The universe is a giant photocopier. It is a mechanical mirror, impersonal and absolutely precise. If you put a sheet that says scarcity in the photocopier, it will not pity you. The machine will not say, poor thing, they have suffered a lot, I'm going to print abundance. The machine will give you 1,000 copies of scarcity. If you stand before the mirror with a frown, the mirror will not return a smile to cheer you up. It will return your own frown with mathematical fidelity. Here is the most brutal law. It is the most liberating law you will ever learn. You never get what you want. You only get what you are. Wanting is the vibratory confirmation of lack. You only want what you do not have. If you say, I want money, you are sending the signal to the quantum field, I do not have money. And the field, which always says yes, responds. It responds, granted. You are the one who has no money. Here are more experiences of not having money to confirm your identity. To turn the master key, you must stop chasing your desires and start embodying them. This chapter is about the transmutation of identity. It is about dying to who you are to be reborn as who you wish to be. By the abyss between desire and possession. Imagine two radio frequencies. Frequency 88.0 FM is the poverty station. On it play songs of debt, struggle, complaint, and envy. Frequency 105.0 FM is the wealth station. On it play songs of freedom, gratitude, generosity, and flow. You are tuned into 88.0. Your physical life reflects that music, but you desire to hear 105.0. So you start shouting at the radio, please, I want to hear 105.0, I need to hear 105.0. You scream, you cry, you make vision boards, you repeat empty affirmations, but you are still tuned into 88.0. The radio does not respond to your shouts, it responds to your tuning. Identity is the dial. As long as your identity is poverty, you stay there. The identity of a poor person who wants is an identity of scarcity. To hear the music of wealth, you have to turn the dial. You have to move your consciousness and be the wealthy person. And here is the paradox the ego does not understand. A wealthy person does not want to be wealthy. They already are. A healthy person just lives. They do not spend the day saying, I want to heal. Burning desire, if not accompanied by a change of identity, is an obstacle. It creates enormous resistance. It creates a separation between me here, incomplete, and that there, complete. The master key closes that gap. The key says, I already am that. To sund the power of the decree I am. In all mystical traditions, the name of God is I am, Iye Asher Iye. It is not a proper name like Zeus. It is a declaration of existence. I am is the only reality. Everything you add after I am is a creation command. It is the source code that programs your reality. Most people use the name of God in vain all day long. They do not realize they are cursing themselves. I am a mess. I am sickly. I am bad at math. I am old. Every time you think or say this with feeling, you are signing a binding contract with the universe. You are defining your identity code. Your body, your finances, and your relations have no free will. They are slaves to your decree. If your subconscious identity is I am someone who is always abandoned, it doesn't matter how attractive or intelligent you are, you will find an unconscious way to sabotage every relationship to confirm your base code. The universe prefers to prove you right. Rather than give you happiness, the universe needs coherence. The reprogramming begins here. You must watch every I am that leaves your mouth and your mind as if your life depended on it. Because it does. Never, under any circumstances, end a sentence with something you do not want to see manifested in your life. Third, the identity thermostat. Why you bounce back. Have you noticed that you have an invisible ceiling in your income, your happiness, or your weight? Perhaps you managed to lose 10 kilos with great effort, but in 6 months you regain them. Perhaps you earn unexpected extra money, and suddenly the car breaks down or an urgent expense arises that takes exactly that amount. Bad luck? No, thermostat. Your current identity has an established comfort zone. Let's say your financial thermostat is set to just surviving. If by chance you earn more money, your identity system panics. An internal alarm goes off. Error, error, we have more than we are. We don't deserve this, it is dangerous. Immediately, your subconscious will seek a creative way to get rid of the surplus, to return you to your identity zone. You will lose the money, spend it on nonsense, or be scammed. And when you are back to just getting by, you will feel a strange relief. Phew, this is normal, this is me. The same thing happens with love. If your identity is I am not worthy of love, and you find a wonderful partner, you will start to feel uncomfortable. You will feel that something is missing. You will start looking for flaws. You will provoke absurd fights. You will behave in a jealous or distant way until the other person leaves. Then you will say, I knew it. They didn't leave. You pushed them away to protect your victim identity. You cannot outperform your self-image. You will never act inconsistently with the way you see yourself deep down. Therefore, working hard without changing the thermostat is useless. You will always return to the set point. You need to normalize the exceptional. The death of the old self, the price of admission. Here we reach the part that no one wants to hear. Changing identity requires a sacrifice, not a blood sacrifice, but a psychological one. To be born as the wealthy person, the poor person must die. To be born as the healthy person, the sick person, and all the attention they received, must die. You cannot take your old self to your new life. They are incompatible. You cannot put new wine into old wineskins, or they will break. Many people want success, but they do not want to stop being the victim. They love their story of suffering. They tell it at every dinner. It's just that I suffered so much as a child. That story is your cage. As long as you keep telling the story of your past, you keep reactivating the identity of the past. The price of the master key is your story. Are you willing to stop being the victim? Are you willing for no one to ever pity you again? Are you willing to assume total responsibility for your life? If you answer yes, then you must hold a funeral. You must bury your old personality. You must stop frequenting the places, physical and mental, that your old self frequented. You must stop talking about the topics your old self talked about. It is a lonely and sometimes terrifying process. You will feel a void. Fill it. The law of assumption. Living from the end. The great mystic Neville Goddard taught us the operative tool for changing the code. The law of assumption. To assume is not to wait. To assume is to take for granted. Assume a virtue if you have it not. The key is not to think of what you want, but to think from what you want. Thinking about money. I wish I had money to buy that. Someday I will have it. Scarcity identity. Thinking from money. I love that. I can buy it, but now I choose not to. It's great to have this financial security. Abundance identity. When you think from the end, your internal dialogue changes, your body posture changes. If you assumed right now with total conviction that you are the owner of a successful company, would you be worried about a small phone bill? No, you would pay it absent-mindedly. That carelessness, that quiet certainty, is the vibration that manifests. You do not have to pretend outwardly. You have to be inwardly. You must walk down the street feeling the solidity of your success, even if your pockets are empty. You must look at the world through the eyes of the person who already achieved it. That look transforms reality. Reality is shy. It bends before those who look at it with authority. First, pretending versus being, the vibratory difference. There is a very fine line between delusional illusion and spiritual assumption. Pretending, ego. Born from fear and the need for approval. It is noisy. You try to convince others that you are successful. You feel background anxiety. I hope they don't find out I'm a fraud. Being observer. Born from internal certainty. It is silent. You do not need to convince anyone, not even yourself, because you already know it. You feel peace and gratitude. The state of wish fulfilled is characterized by relief. When you finally get something you wanted very much, what do you feel? Eternal euphoria? No. Euphoria lasts 5 minutes. What you feel is relief. Ah, that's it. It's mine now. I don't have to fight for it anymore. That sigh of relief is the sign that the identity has changed. If you still feel anxiety or nervous excitement about your desire, you have not assumed it. To the wealthy person, $1 million is normal. To the poor person, it is an impossible miracle. You must make your desire feel normal. Naturalness is the key word. Until your desire feels natural to you, it will not manifest. 7. Practical case, wealth identity. Let's apply the code. How do you change identity from poor to wealthy? The poor focus on expense. The wealthy focus on circulation. When the poor person pays a bill, they feel they are losing life. They feel pain. Damn, my money is going away. When they pay, they contract their energy. That contraction is an order to the universe. Close the flow, it hurts to let go. To change your identity, you must change your relationship with the flow. Pay your bills with gratitude. Bless the money that goes out. Say internally, thank you for this service. There is more where this came from. My source is infinite. Do not look at prices with fear. Look at them as options. Even if you do not buy the expensive item, say mentally, I can have that. I accept it in my reality. Do not reject or envy it. Rejoice in others' wealth. If you see a luxury car, say, good for him. That is proof that there is abundance in my world. The identity of wealth does not depend on the bank balance. Many millionaires feel poor, fear of losing, and many monks feel rich, nothing is lacking. Wealth is a state of having enough and to spare. You can activate that state right now. Feel the air in your lungs. Do they charge you for it? No, it is abundant. 15. Practical case, love identity. How do you change the identity from single to loved? The person looking for a partner usually has the identity of a better half looking for their other half. They feel incomplete. They go to dates with anxiety, with a need to please. Will they like me? Will they call me? That need repels. Need is the most unpleasant perfume in the universe. The person with a love identity knows they are complete. They know they are a prize. They do not look for someone to fill them. They look for someone with whom to share their fullness. They do not ask, will they like me? They ask, will I like them? To manifest love, you must start having a romance with yourself. Treat yourself as you want to be treated. Buy yourself flowers. Take yourself to dinner at nice places. Talk to yourself sweetly in front of the mirror. If you do not enjoy your own company, why would someone else? When your identity is I am a deeply loved and valuable being, the world reflects that. People feel magnetically attracted to you, and they don't know why. It is because your thermostat is radiating love, and everyone wants to warm themselves by that fire. First, the method actor technique. So imagine you are a famous actor. You are hired to play a tycoon or a great leader. What would you do? You would study the character. You would change your way of walking, more upright, slower. You would change your voice. You would change your clothes. You would get so into the role that you would think as the character. You are the actor. Your life is the movie. Choose your character. How does your ideal self sit in this chair? How do they drink their coffee? How do they answer the phone? Start acting. Not as a lie, but as a rehearsal. At first, you will feel weird. You will feel imposter syndrome. That is normal. Keep acting. Neuroplasticity is in your favor. If you repeat a behavior and a thought enough times, it becomes the new norm. There will come a day, very soon, when you will not have to act. You will simply be, and on that day, physical reality will suddenly change to match your script. Hex, the delayed mirror, the test of faith. A final warning. When you change your identity, the mirror of reality takes a little while to change. For a few days or weeks, you will still see the reflections of the old self, old bills, old problems. It is the remnant. It is the echo. The fatal error is to look at that reflection and say, it didn't work. If you do that, you abort the gestation. You must have the coldness of a poker player. Look at the old reality and deny it in your heart. Say, this is the dead past. I am no longer that person. My new reality is on its way. Persist in your new identity, even though the senses deny it. That is faith. Faith is not believing in what you do not see. Faith is loyalty to your invisible reality. Stay loyal to your new I am. Do not yield. Do not lower the thermostat. Withstand the pressure of the void. Because I promise you, by the law that governs the stars, the mirror has no choice. It must reflect you. Chapter 4. The Engineering of Imagination. God's Workshop. The answer has been hidden in plain sight, disguised as child's play, despised by academics and relegated to the domain of poets and madmen. The tool is the human imagination. But stop. Erase from your mind the definition that society has given you of this word. They have taught you that to imagine is synonymous with fantasy. They told you it means unreality or lies. They tell you, stop imagining and put your feet on the ground. That is the most destructive advice ever given. Imagination is not an escape route from reality. It is the workshop where reality is forged. William Blake, the great mystic and poet, said it with surgical precision. Imagination is not a state. It is the human existence itself. Everything you see around you, this book, the chair you sit in, the building that surrounds you, the clothes you wear, the phone you use, was, at first, an image in someone's mind. Nothing exists in the physical world that has not existed first in the imaginal world. Imagination is the womb of the universe. It is the divine matrix. In this chapter, we are going to stop using imagination as a toy or a narcotic to evade pain. We are going to start using it as quantum engineering. You will learn to build mental blueprints so vivid and structured that physical reality will have no choice. The secret of the fourth dimension. To understand why imagination works, we must speak of dimensions. We live in a three-dimensional world of space, height, width, depth, and experience time as a linear fourth dimension. However, mystics and theoretical physics suggest that the real fourth dimension is the plane of imagination. It is a real substantive space where all past, present, and future events exist simultaneously as possibilities. When you imagine something, you are not creating a fantasy out of nothing. You are visiting a reality that already exists in the fourth dimension. If you can imagine being rich, it is because that version of you already exists. Your act of imagining is an act of time travel and selection. The physical world, 3D, is only the projected shadow of the fourth dimension. If you move an object in the fourth dimension, in your mind, the shadow in 3D, your physical life, inevitably moves. It cannot not do so. The shadow has no will, it is a slave to the object. The human error is trying to move the shadow by fighting with the shadow, physical effort without mental change. The master moves the object in his mind and lets the shadow readjust itself. There's fantasy versus creative imagination. Here lies the difference between the failed dreamer and the successful magician. Most people fantasize all day. They see themselves winning the lottery, being famous, taking revenge on their enemies. But they manifest nothing. Why? Because they use imagination as a narcotic. Fantasy is passive. It is watching the movie from the seat. It is saying, I wish this were true, but I know it is not. Fantasy recognizes the separation between the subject and the desire. Creative imagination is active. It is entering the screen. It is occupying the state. Fantasy, thinking about the desire. You see it in the distance. Creative imagination, thinking from the desire. You look at the world through the eyes of the person who already has the desire. If you want a new car, fantasy is seeing yourself driving the car from the outside, as if watching a movie. Creative imagination is feeling the wheel in your hands, smelling the new leather, seeing the road pass through the windshield. In fantasy, you are the spectator. In the engineering of imagination, you are the leading actor in the first person. Reality does not respond to what you see, it responds to what you are while you see. Third, the holodeck technique, sensory realism. Let's get to practice. How do you build a master plan? You must treat your mind as a high-tech virtual reality simulator, a holodeck. The subconscious mind, which is in charge of executing the manifestation, is blind. It has no eyes facing outward. It cannot distinguish between a real physical experience and a vividly imagined one. If you imagine biting a lemon with enough detail, your mouth will secrete physical saliva. Your body reacts to the image as if it were reality. To hack the system, you must give your subconscious tones of reality. A blurry visual image is not enough. You must involve the inner senses in your imagination. Touch. It is the most powerful sense for manifestation. Touch the object of your desire. Feel the texture of the money, the weight of the wedding ring, the warmth of your partner's hand. Hearing, listen to the voices. Listen to a friend congratulating you. Listen to the sound of the engine. Smell, taste. Smell the sea if you desire a trip. Smell the perfume of your love. Taste the celebratory dinner. The more sensory data you bring to the scene, the more solid it becomes in the fourth dimension. You are biologically fooling your brain into believing it has already happened. And once the subconscious accepts something as a fact, it will move heaven and earth to confirm it in the outside world. It will activate your reticular system, give you ideas, and make you meet the right people. IV, the principle of here and now. Time does not exist in God's workshop. Only the eternal now exists. If you imagine that your desire will be fulfilled in the future, you will keep it always in the future. It will be the carrot tied to the stick in front of the donkey. You will never reach it. Creative imagination always occurs in present time. When you enter your session of mental engineering, you must feel that you are experiencing the desire right now. You are not remembering the past or predicting the future. You are living the moment. Although your physical body is sitting in a cheap chair, your imaginative body is sitting in the leather chair of your office. You must learn to bilocate. Physically, you are here, 3D. Mentally, you are there, 4D. But for your consciousness, the there must be more real than the here. You must give so much intensity to the imaginary experience that, when you open your eyes, you feel a shock. You must feel that the physical world is the dream, and your imagination was the reality. That shock is the signal that you have impregnated reality. The seed has been planted. V, the final scene, the art of brevity. A common mistake of beginners is trying to imagine the whole movie of how they will get their desire. They imagine working hard, meeting someone, investing, winning. That is a mistake. That is meddling in the how, the process, and the how belongs to the universe, not to you. You are only responsible for the what, the end. You must build a final scene, a short scene, 10 to 15 seconds long, that obligatorily implies that your desire has already been fulfilled. It has to be a scene that occurs after success. If you want a job, imagine a friend shaking your hand and saying, "Congratulations on the new position." If you want health, imagine you are running in the park or carrying something heavy, feeling full of energy, and someone says, "You look incredible." If you want money, imagine you are checking your bank statement on your mobile and you feel a deep peace and gratitude at seeing the figure. The scene must be short, so you can repeat it in a loop without getting distracted. Repeat it over and over in your mind until it acquires the texture of reality, until you feel it is a memory, not a fantasy. The sat state, the back door of the subconscious. There is a time of day when the guardian of the threshold, the logical ego, goes to sleep, leaving the door of the workshop wide open. It is the state just before sleeping and just after waking up. Neville Goddard called it SATS, state akin to sleep. Scientifically, it is the theta brainwave state. In theta, you are highly suggestible. You are hypnotizable. If you try to visualize in broad daylight with stress in your body, the ego will fight you. It will say, "This is ridiculous." But if you do it in bed, with the body relaxed, in that limbo between wakefulness and sleep, the ego is too tired to fight. That is the golden moment for the engineering of imagination. Every night as you go to bed, You have a divine appointment. Do not fall asleep reviewing the day's problems. That is programming nightmares for tomorrow. Fall asleep repeating your final scene in a loop, like a lullaby. Visualize the scene, feel the emotion of gratitude, and let sleep catch you while you are in the scene. If you fall asleep assuming you are rich, the subconscious will work for 8 hours, solidifying that reality. It is the most efficient way to change your life. You change your world while you sleep. 7. The mental diet hygiene in the workshop. You have done your nightly work. You have planted the seed in this ATS. But then you wake up, turn on the news, call your friend to complain about your boss, and spend the day ruminating on thoughts of hate and fear. You have just dug up the seed and poured acid on it. Engineering the imagination requires daytime discipline. This is called mental diet. You cannot afford the luxury of having negative thoughts. It doesn't mean you should repress them, but you must not invite them to dinner. If a negative thought arises, do not fight. Apply the cut technique. You are the film director. If an actor says the line wrong, you shout cut and repeat the take. If your mind shows you an image of failure, say cut internally and replace it immediately with your final scene. You must supervise your mind like a garden. Weeds grow alone. Roses need care. The mental diet is exhausting at first, but it is the price of freedom. If you do not control your imagination, it will control you. 4. Do not meddle in the how, the bridge of incidents. This is the hardest rule to obey in God's workshop. Once you have imagined the end and felt it as real, you must let go of the how. Your rational and three-dimensional mind does not have the capacity to compute the infinite complexity of variables necessary to bring your desire. The how is the problem of the infinite intelligence. When you have planted the seed, the universe will deploy what Neville called a bridge of incidents, a series of coincidences, events, and circumstances that will lead you inevitably to your goal. Sometimes the bridge looks strange. Perhaps you get fired from your job. Your ego will scream, "Disaster! I imagined wealth and now I'm unemployed." But the observer knows that dismissal was necessary to force you to start the business that will make you a millionaire. The shortest path is not always a visible straight line. If you obsess over the how, you introduce doubt. Doubt is anti-imagination. You must trust that if you have imagined it, it already exists and is finding its way to you. Daikin revision, the magic eraser. What if you have a terrible day? What if you get bad news? Does it mean you have failed? No. In the workshop of imagination, there is a wonderful tool, the pruning shears of revision. Never go to sleep accepting a bad day as a final fact. Before sleeping, review your day. Reach the moment when the conflict or error occurred, and rewrite it. Imagine the scene again, but this time imagine it happened as you wanted. Imagine your boss congratulated you instead of shouting at you. Imagine the letter brought a check instead of a bill. Feel the relief of that new version. By doing this, you are altering the frequency of the event in your memory and in the quantum field. You are neutralizing the effect of that negativity on your future. You are changing the past. Literally, you are cleaning your timeline so that tomorrow is not a repetition of today's traumas. X, the power of the internal word, the sound of thought. Imagination is not only visual, it is also auditory. Your internal dialogue is the sound of your imagination. Listen to what you tell yourself. How tired I am. How hard this is. I'm never going to get out of here. Those are prayers. They are dark decrees. You are using God's workshop to manufacture prisons. Change the script. Make your internal dialogue match your fulfilled desire. Ask yourself, if I were already the person I want to be, what would I be thinking now? You would probably be thinking, how peaceful, how grateful I am. Start thinking those thoughts deliberately, even if they seem artificial at first. Artificial thought repeated with feeling becomes natural belief. Chapter 5. Feeling is the signal. How to collapse the wave. You have learned to think like an observer. You have designed your blueprint in the mental workshop. You have repeated your I am identity affirmations. And yet, nothing happens. The mirror of reality continues to show you the same image of scarcity, loneliness, or disease. You wonder, what am I doing wrong? I am visualizing, I am thinking positively. Why is the universe ignoring me? The answer is painful but simple. The universe is deaf to your thoughts, but it is extremely sensitive to your vibrations. Thought is the steering system, but feeling is the motor. Here lies the secret that escaped the documentarians of the law of attraction. They focused on the mind, the brain, and forgot the heart. Quantum physics and ancient Hermetic wisdom agree on a fundamental point. To collapse the wave of probability, you need an electromagnetic signature. Thought generates the electrical charge. Feeling generates the magnetic charge. Only when both are united in coherence is the signal emitted that reorganizes the atoms of your world. In this chapter, we will stop thinking about our desires and start feeling them. But beware. I am not talking about hysterical emotions or temporary euphoria. I am talking about the feeling of the wish fulfilled. I am talking about the silent certainty that makes the foundations of matter tremble. The physics of the heart, the 5,000-watt amplifier. Let's start with hard biology to silence the skeptical guardian of the threshold. For decades, we believed the brain was the boss, but the HeartMath Institute and modern neurocardiology have discovered something that changes the rules of the game. The heart is not just a blood pump. It is a secondary brain with 40,000 sensory neurons, and most importantly, it is the most powerful electromagnetic field generator in the human body. The heart's electrical field is 60 times stronger than the brain's, but the heart's magnetic field is 5,000 times stronger than the brain's. This field can be measured with magnetometers several meters outside the body. Literally, you are walking inside a magnetic bubble generated by your heart. What does this mean for the operator of reality? It means if you are thinking about abundance but feeling fear of poverty, the heart signal wins by a landslide. It is a 5,000 to 1 struggle. The universe does not hear your "I am rich" affirmation. The universe feels your magnetic terror of not being able to pay rent. To collapse the quantum wave, you need heart coherence. You need what you think and what you feel to be aligned. This creates a tractor beam. Thought, emotion versus feeling, the master's distinction. Here is where most fail. They confuse emotion with feeling. In operative mystical language, they are very different things. Emotion, emotion, energy in motion. It is reactive. It is volatile. It goes up and down. Emotions are exhausting and temporary. If you manifest from high emotion, you will burn out. Feeling. It is a state of consciousness. It is an acceptance of the fact. It is knowing something with such certainty that it no longer upsets you. The great master Neville Goddard titled his most famous work, "Feeling is the Secret." He did not mean being happy, he meant the feeling of naturalness and relief. How do you feel when you know you have the house keys in your pocket? Do you jump for joy? No, you feel a quiet security. You feel it is a fact. That is the feeling. The feeling that collapses the wave is not, "I hope it happens." That is doubt. The feeling is, "Thank you, it is already done." Third, the language of the quantum field. Imagine the quantum field is a waiter in a very noisy restaurant. You're at the table shouting your orders with your mind, "I want the soup, I want the soup." But the waiter does not hear your words. The waiter only looks at your state. If he sees you anxious and hungry, he interprets, "This customer needs hunger." The field will bring you more waiting so you continue to experience hunger. If he sees you relaxed, satisfied, wiping your mouth with a napkin as if you had already eaten, the waiter interprets, "This customer is vibrating insatiated." Then, by the law of correspondence, the soup materializes. The quantum field does not judge what is good or bad. It only duplicates your vibratory signature. Signature of need attracts more need. Signature of gratitude attracts more reasons to be grateful. Signature of struggle attracts more obstacles. The supreme paradox is that you must feel wealthy before seeing the money. You must feel healthy before the pain disappears. Feeling is the cause, physical manifestation is the effect. If you wait to see in order to believe, feel, you are operating backwards like a fool who waits for heat from the stove before putting in wood. There's the hope trap. Hope is the last thing to be lost. That is a loser's proverb. In the engineering of consciousness, hope is a subtle poison. Hope implies that the result is uncertain and in the future. I hope it works. Vibratorily, hope is a statement of absence. I don't have it, but I wish I did. The feeling that collapses the wave is faith, but not blind religious faith, but faith as loyalty to the invisible reality. Faith is the certainty of what is hoped for, the conviction of what is not seen. Note the word certainty. When you have certainty, you don't have hope. You have knowledge. If you order a pizza and see order confirmed, you don't have hope it will arrive. You know it's coming, you relax, you set the table. That state of setting the table mentally is the correct feeling. Stop hoping and start setting the table. The secret of relief, the vibration of the answer. If I had to summarize the feeling of manifestation in a single word, it would be relief. Think about it. What is the dominant emotion when a serious problem is resolved? It is not ecstasy. It is a deep sigh of relief. Whew, finally, it's over, everything is fine. That sigh releases a chemical cascade of endorphins and relaxation. Your magnetic field expands. Resistance falls to zero. When you imagine your wish fulfilled, Chapter 4, the goal is not to finish the visualization agitated or anxious. The goal is to finish with a sense of relief. If you visualize money, feel the relief of being debt-free. If you visualize health, feel the relief of being pain-free. Relief is the unmistakable sign that the burden has been dropped. Practice the art of the sigh. Close your eyes, imagine your wish fulfilled and sigh deeply. That sigh is the vibratory amen. Fear the body's chemical addiction, visceral sabotage. Here we return to the biological obstacle. You have lived for years feeling stress, worry, and haste. Your body is addicted to those chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline. When you try to feel peace or abundance, your body feels strange. It is like a drug addict being deprived of heroin. It feels bored. Your body will tell you, hey, this feeling of being calm is suspicious. Surely something bad is going to happen. Worry a bit just in case. And then, without realizing it, you look for a reason to worry. You look for a memory, a call or news, just to feel the normality of your anguish. Collapsing the wave requires you to be stronger than your chemical addiction. You must impose the new feeling, gratitude, love, power, over the old, visceral feeling. At first it will feel false. It doesn't matter. Fake it until you feel it. Act. The forced smile ends up tricking the brain into releasing serotonin. The power posture ends up lowering cortisol. You have to hack your own biology so that your heart starts to emit the new magnetic signal. Events heart coherence, the practical technique. How do we generate the feeling if we are depressed or scared? You cannot go from panic to gratitude in a second, but you can use the coherence ladder. 1. Neutrality. Breathe slow and deep. Focus on your heart. Imagine you breathe through the center of your chest. This stops the energy hemorrhage. 2. Anchor memory. Do not try to manufacture a feeling from nothing. Use your memory. Remember a moment in your life when you felt deeply loved, grateful, or successful. 3. Amplification. Revive that memory. Let that chemistry flood your blood. 4. Transposition. Project that real feeling onto your image of the future. You are using a genuine feeling from the past to charge a future image. You are pasting the magnetic label of done onto the desire file. This is emotional alchemy. You convert lead, past memory, into gold, future creation. Fate, gratitude, the signature of reception. Gratitude is the supreme state of reception. You only give thanks when you have received something or when you are sure you will receive it. Therefore, gratitude is the only emotion that convinces the body and the quantum field that the event has already occurred. If you give thanks before seeing the result, you are hacking reality. You are creating an event in future time that must move back to meet you. Jesus, before raising Lazarus or multiplying the loaves, did not ask. He said, "Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me." He knew gratitude is the bridge. If you can feel genuine gratitude for your perfect health while still in the hospital bed, healing is inevitable. The wave has no choice but to collapse into health, because the magnetic signature says, "Thank you for the health." Night mirror delay, maintaining the signal. You have generated the feeling. You have collapsed the wave in the quantum plane. But in the physical plane, 3D, there is a delay time, buffer. It may take 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months to see the result. During that time, the mirror of reality will keep showing you the old image. Here is where 99% of people fail. They look at the mirror and let the feeling drop. It didn't work. By doing this, you withdraw the magnetic signal. The wave that was materializing dissolves and becomes probability again. You killed the baby before it was born. The master knows he must maintain the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Despite the evidence of the senses, this persistence is what separates children from adults in the spiritual world. You must live in the end, not just visit it. You cannot feel rich for 10 minutes and poor for 23 hours. You must carry the perfume of the feeling with you all day. A subtle background sensation that everything is fine, that it is already done. X. Do not force, just allow. A common mistake when trying to feel is effort. People grit their teeth, tense their muscles, and try to push the desire out. Effort is counterproductive. Effort implies resistance. If you struggle, it is because you believe it is difficult. If it is difficult, it is not natural. The correct feeling is effortless. It is soft. It is light. It is like floating. When you truly accept that something is yours, you do not struggle to have it. You simply enjoy it. The master key turns gently. If you have to force it, it is not the right key. Relax into your assumption. Trust that the heavy lifting is done by the universe, not you. You just provide the signal. The universe provides the logistics. Chapter 6, The Law of Assumption. Living from the end. You have reached the threshold of mastery. You have understood that matter is an illusion. Chapter 1. Silenced the guardian of the ego. Chapter 2. Rewritten your identity code. Chapter 3. Built your blueprint in imagination. Chapter 4. And ignited the engine of feeling. Chapter 5. Now you face the final challenge, persistence. The abyss where 90% of seekers fall is persistence in time. It is easy to feel wealthy during 10 minutes of meditation with soft music and eyes closed. The hard part is opening your eyes, seeing an insufficient balance notification on your phone, and continuing to feel wealthy. That is where the law of assumption comes in. Often confused with the law of attraction, assumption is infinitely more powerful and direct. Attraction says, "I attract what I am," implying distance. The law of assumption says, "I already am that," implying unity and present possession. To assume is not to wait. To assume is to appropriate. It is living mentally from the end. Living from the end means not thinking about the final goal as a distant future, but thinking from the goal looking back, as if it had already happened. This chapter is the instruction manual for inhabiting the invisible reality until the visible world has no choice but to harden and reflect it. The preposition that changes worlds, of versus from. The difference between success and failure lies in a grammatical preposition. Most people think of their desires. The master thinks from his desires. Thinking of the desire, you see yourself separate from the goal. You look at it as a distant object. I wish I had that house. Someday I will be healthy. I want that person. This posture creates a gap of space and time. It confirms vibratory evidence that you do not have it. And the universe, a faithful copier, gives you more not having. Thinking from the desire, you step inside the goal. You look at the world through the eyes of the person who already has it. You don't see the house far away. You see the street from the window of your house. You don't think about health. You feel the energy of your body while you walk. You don't look for a partner. You feel their presence beside you while you sleep. Living from the end means the search has ended. If you are already in Rome, you don't need to buy a ticket. Anxiety disappears because possession is a fact. The law of assumption requires this quantum leap. Stop being the seeker to become the possessor, even when your physical hands are empty. 2. The denial of evidence, the fast of the senses. Here is where the rational ego, the guardian, screams, "You're crazy, you're lying to yourself, look at reality." And it is right. From a three-dimensional logic, you are delusional. But from the logic of the fourth dimension, the cause, you are the only sane person in a world of sleepwalkers. Physical reality, 3D, is the past. It is the smoke trail of a fire that burned yesterday, your old thoughts. If you base your mood on what you see today, bills, loneliness, pain, you are reacting to the past. You are perpetuating the cycle. To create a new future, you must ignore the sensory present. You must practice the fast of the senses. Fasting is not just about food. It is about stopping the consumption of negative sensory information. If your eyes show you scarcity, deny them your faith. Say, "This is a temporary fact, but it is not the truth. The truth is my assumption of abundance." If your ears hear criticism, deny them your attention. Listen internally to the applause. This requires brazen impudence. You must have the audacity to maintain your assumption that all is well while the world crumbles around you. This controlled madness is the secret of miracles. When Jesus said, "The maid is not dead but sleepeth," people laughed at him. His senses saw a corpse. Jesus saw life from his assumption, and because he stayed faithful to his internal vision against the external evidence, physical reality had to obey, and the girl woke up. You are the operator of that same power. Are you daring enough to walk through the valley of the shadow of death and fear no evil, simply because you have assumed that you are light? The bridge of incidents, the logistics of the universe. Once you have assumed the state of the wish fulfilled, the universe sets in motion. It deploys the bridge of incidents. It is a series of events, coincidences, and occurrences that will lead you from where you are physically to where you are mentally. The fatal error is trying to micromanage this bridge. Sometimes the bridge seems to go in the opposite direction. You assume wealth and the next day you are fired. The ego panics. It failed. I'm worse off than before. The law of assumption says, do not judge by appearances. Perhaps that firing was necessary to push you to create the company that will make you a millionaire. Perhaps that breakup was necessary to leave room for the person who truly vibrates with you. You do not have the capacity to see the complexity of the plot. Only the grand architect, your higher self, sees it. Your job is to stay in the end. If you maintain the assumption of success, every failure becomes a step. The shortest path is not always a straight line. Sometimes it is a dark tunnel. Keep walking. Trust that if you are living from the end, whatever happens in the middle is part of the right path. Feel mental diet and internal dialogue. The proof that you have truly assumed your desire is not what you say to others, but what you say to yourself in the secret of your mind. Internal dialogue is the maintenance tool of assumption. If you assume you are the CEO of a company, your internal dialogue changes. You no longer think, "I hope the boss doesn't yell." You think, "How are we going to expand the market next quarter?" Your mental conversations must match your new identity. Observe your thoughts. Are you arguing mentally with people? Are you defending yourself? Are you justifying your poverty? Every negative mental argument is an energy leak that deflates your assumption. You must put your mind on a diet. Every time you catch yourself having a victim conversation, cut it. Replace it with a conversation from the premise of your success. Imagine talking to a friend and telling them how wonderfully well you are doing. Listen to their voice congratulating you. Feel your own voice responding. The internal word creates the external flesh. If your internal dialogue does not change, your external reality will not either, no matter how much you visualize. Gestation time, the illusion of delay. How long do I have to maintain the assumption? That is the question of the slave, not the master. If you ask how much longer, it is because you are not living from the end. You are waiting to arrive. You are thinking of the desire. If you already have it, you do not wait. However, in the three-dimensional world, there is a gestation time. Every seed has its own time. A baby takes 9 months. A radish takes 3 weeks. An oak takes years. A large manifestation may require a massive movement of energy that takes terrestrial time. During this interval, your assumption is like a pregnancy. Even if you do not see the baby, the physical result, you know it is there. You know it is growing. You do not cut open your womb every 5 minutes to check. You trust the invisible process. The time interval is not a denial, it is a preparation. If you maintain the assumption reality is baking. If you doubt, you turn off the oven. If you doubt and then believe again, you turn the oven on and off constantly. The cake never rises. Keep the heat constant. Maintain the faith. Find a brazenness, acting as if. Assumption is not just mental, it is behavioral. You must start behaving like the person you wish to be. I don't mean spending money you don't have, that is irresponsibility, but carrying the dignity of the state. How does a loved and confident person walk? How does a healthy person breathe? How does a successful person look others in the eye? Start adopting those micro behaviors now. If you want to be a leader, stop walking hunched over, looking at the ground. Lift your head. If you want to be rich, stop treating your few coins with contempt or fear. Arrange them in your wallet with respect. If you want health, stop talking about your symptoms with everyone. A healthy person does not talk about diseases all day. The universe responds to your posture toward life. If you present yourself as a beggar, it will give you scraps. If you present yourself as a king, it will give you tributes. This acting as if sends a biological signal to your brain and a quantum signal to the field. You are tricking reality into fitting your role play, and it works. Reality loves a good script and hastens to manifest it. Servant, sleeping in the state, the night incubator. We return to the critical point mentioned in Chapter 4, but now with the focus on assumption. The moment before sleeping is the workshop door. Never, under any circumstances, fall asleep feeling dissatisfied, worried, or angry. Carrying those states into sleep is programming 8 hours of disaster for the next day. Neville Goddard taught the technique of sleeping in the assumption. It is not just about visualizing a scene and then cutting to worry about the light bill. It is about capturing the mood of the wish fulfilled and letting yourself fall into sleep wrapped in it like a blanket. Ask yourself, how would I feel right now? If tomorrow were the happiest day of my life, how would I feel? You would feel peace, expectation, gratitude. Invoke that sensation, wrap yourself in it. Tell your subconscious, I am successful, I am loved, I am healthy, thank you, good night. And let that be the last impression on your mind. What you assume at sleep is cooked in the subconscious and served as breakfast in your future reality. If you fall asleep crying, you will wake up in a world that gives you more reasons to cry. If you fall asleep smiling in certainty, you will wake up in a world that starts moving to keep that smile. Fierce reaction is the poison. The mortal enemy of assumption is reaction. You wake up in your state of I am rich, you go out and someone scratches your car. Your automatic reaction is anger, victimhood. Why me? In that moment, you have fallen from the state. You have returned to the victim identity. You have dug up the seed to see if it had roots, and by doing so you have killed it. The master practices non-reaction or deferred reaction. When something bad happens, the master pauses, he breathes, and he refuses to accept the event as final. He says, this means nothing, all works for my good, all works. Neville told the story of a man who wanted a trip but had no money. He assumed he was on the trip. The next day his money was stolen. His reaction could have been despair, but he maintained the assumption. It turned out the robbery triggered an investigation that led to a forgotten inheritance 10 times larger. If he had reacted with despair and abandoned the assumption, the chain of events would have broken. Do not judge the event by its immediate appearance. Keep your center. Do not react. Respond from your new self. Time to sovereignty. You are the only operant power. To sustain the law of assumption, you must accept a lonely but powerful truth. You are the only operant power in your reality. No one is doing anything to you. People are only messengers who bring you what you have requested vibratorily. Your boss who yells is just an actor playing your script. He plays the script of your own insecurity or your assumption of I am not respected. Your partner who ignores you reflects your own lack of self-love. The world is you pushed out. This understanding eliminates resentment. You cannot hate the mirror for showing you a smudge on your face. You clean your face, your assumption, and the mirror changes. When you change your assumption about someone, they change to confirm your new belief or they leave your life. Do not try to change people. Change your assumption about them and watch the miracle. X. The paradox of detachment. Here a frequent question arises. If I have to live in the end, isn't that obsession? No, there is a difference between focus and attachment. Attachment, I need this to happen to be happy. If it doesn't, I die. Fear, scarcity. Focus, assumption, I know this is mine. I feel full inside. Love, abundance. You must detach from the need for it to occur in 3D to feel good. The paradox is that the less you need it to manifest, because you already feel full inside, the faster it manifests. Need creates resistance. The state of I already have it creates flow. Live your physical life normally. Enjoy the present, but carry with you the secret perfume of your assumption. It is like being pregnant. You continue working, eating, laughing, but you know you carry a life within. You are not obsessed looking at your womb every second, but you never forget you are a mother. Chapter 7. The Art of the Decree. The word as a quantum scalpel. You have learned to assume your identity. You have ignited the engine of feeling, but there is still a leakage mechanism through which most aspiring masters lose all their power. The mouth. Humanity has a promiscuous and irresponsible relationship with language. We use words to pass the time, to vent, or to describe misfortune. We treat words as if they were wind, innocuous and ephemeral. We say words are carried away by the wind. That is the most dangerous lie ever told. Words are not carried away by the wind. Words are embedded in the structure of reality. In the beginning was the word Logos, and the word was God. The spoken word is the first materialization. It is the acoustic vibration that structures matter. When you speak, you're not simply communicating information. You're emitting a frequency that organizes the atoms around you. This chapter is about the decree. A decree is not a timid affirmation. A decree is not a plea. A decree is a royal order. It is a judicial sentence. It is a sentence handed down by the court of your own consciousness. We will learn to use the word not as a fat brush to paint reality, but as a quantum scalpel, a tool of surgical precision capable of cutting away disease, extirpating poverty, and sculpting the new reality with millimeter accuracy. By the physics of sound, cymatics, and structure. To understand the power of the decree, we must stop seeing language as something abstract and start seeing it as something physical. Sound is a pressure wave. It hits matter. It moves molecules. There is a science called cymatics that studies how sound affects matter. If you place sand on a metal plate and vibrate it, magically patterns appear. The sand organizes into perfect geometric patterns, mandalas. If you change the sound to a dissonant frequency, the geometry breaks and becomes chaos. If you return to the harmonic frequency, the sand returns to order. You are 70% water. Water is highly programmable by vibration. Your external reality is also a field sensitive to vibration. Every time you open your mouth, you are playing a note on the metal plate of the universe. What geometry are you creating? If you spend the day saying, I am tired, I have no money, everything is very bad, you are emitting a frequency of chaos. You are ordering your cells and your economy to disorganize. You are using your scalpel to cut your own veins instead of healing the wound. The master understands that his voice is a tuning instrument. Before speaking, he asks himself, is this phrase going to build a geometry of order or chaos? If it is chaos, he remains silent. Silence is better than destructive creation. Description versus prescription, the fundamental error. The 99% of humanity uses language descriptively. They look at reality, the screen, and describe it. Look how bad the economy is. My back hurts. My partner ignores me. They think they are telling the truth. They believe they are being honest or realistic. What they do not understand is that they are recreating it. By describing the problem with emotion, they are signing an order to renew the contract with misery. Description is the glue that keeps the problem in place. The master uses language prescriptively, like a doctor who writes a prescription. The doctor does not write, the patient has fever. That would be useless. The doctor writes, take 500 mg of antibiotic. He writes the solution. The decree is a prescription. You do not describe what you see, you decree what you want to see. Instead of saying, I am sick, you decree, my body is restoring its perfect balance now. This is not lying to oneself, it is leading reality. It is calling those things which be not as though they were. Romans 4:17. Thirst the I am, the nuclear button. We return to the source code. The most powerful phrase in the universe is I am. Anything you add after these two words is a direct order to the subconscious and the quantum field to manifest. It is the nuclear button of creation. I am is not just an identification, it is an invocation. I am clumsy. The universe responds, granted, here is a stumble. I am poor. The universe responds, granted, here is an unexpected bill. I am old. The universe responds, granted, here is arthritis. People say this casually as a joke. The subconscious has no sense of humor. It does not understand irony. It takes every word literally. If you say, I am starving to death, you are sending a signal of death and lack. If you say, this is a headache, you are inviting pain. The discipline of the decree begins with the hygiene of the I am. Never, ever, under any circumstances, use the name of God, I am, to join something you do not want. Do not use it to join yourself to something you do not want to see amplified in your life. If you feel bad, do not say, I am sick. Say, I am, temporarily, going through a process of clearing. Detach your identity from the problem. Reserve the I am exclusively for the eternal truth. I am health. I am abundance. I am light. IV, the mental conversation diet, the creative murmur. The decree is not only what you say out loud to others. Even more powerful is what you say to yourself in the silence of your mind. It is your internal dialogue. Most people maintain constant mental arguments. You imagine arguing with your boss. You imagine what you would say to your ex. You defend yourself against accusations. Neville Goddard taught that internal dialogue creates reality. If you spend the day arguing mentally with someone, you will inevitably have a real conflict with that person shortly. You are rehearsing the script of conflict. The quantum scalpel must be used to cut these morbid conversations. Watch your mind. Are you ruminating? Cut. Change the script. Start internally decreeing reconciliation or success. Imagine that person saying to you, you're right, I'm sorry. Or better yet, congratulations on your success. Listen to your own voice responding with grace. When you align your inner conversation with your wish fulfilled, reality must reflect that harmony. Your world is your crystallized internal dialogue. If you change the conversation, you change the scene. The Scalpel technique, precision and present time. An effective decree must have the qualities of a scalpel, sharp, precise, and clean. Vague decrees do not work. I want to be happy is not a decree. It is a vague desire. The universe does not know what happy is for you. I wish to have more money is dangerous. You can find a penny on the ground and the universe has complied. The master decree is formulated in present time and is specific. Bad. I don't want to have debts. Focuses on debt. Good. I am financially free. Focuses on freedom. Bad. I am going to be healthy. Future. Never arrives. Good. Every cell in my body now vibrates in perfect health. Present. The decree must cut through doubt. There is no I hope. There is no maybe. It is a sentence. It is done. Thank you, Father. The final word must close the case. Do not leave the door open to the ego's appeal. Vice, the power of silence, the pressure cooker. Here is a paradox. The decree is the word, but its power accumulates in silence. If you decree your success and then go and tell everyone, you dissipate the energy. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to write a book. By speaking it prematurely with people who do not vibrate at your frequency, you expose yourself. You expose yourself to their doubts and their realistic advice. Those energies puncture your balloon. Furthermore, by telling it, your ego feels the satisfaction of having done it, cheap dopamine, and loses the motivation to actually do it. The ancient Hermetic rule is to know, to will, to dare, and to be silent. Silence is the lid of the pressure cooker. Keep your decree in secret. Let it boil inside you. Let that pressure of having a secret accumulate. That pressure will become the propelling force of manifestation. Do not decree to show off. Decree to create. Speak with your Father who is in secret. Xaphon, decreeing in the face of contrary evidence the fire trial. It is easy to decree I am rich when you have money. Mastery is decreeing I am rich when a foreclosure letter arrives. This is where the quantum scalpel separates the flesh of reality. The profane looks at the letter and says, I am ruined. He accepts the physical evidence. The master looks at the letter and says, this is a temporary lie. I am the infinite provision. This will be divinely resolved. Joel 3:10 says, let the weak say, I am strong. It does not say, let the weak say, I would like to be strong. It says to affirm the opposite of your current condition. This is not madness, it is prophecy. If you decree what your eyes see, you are trapped in the perpetual present. If you decree what your spirit sees, you are bringing the future into the present. You must have the audacity to contradict your senses. If your body hurts, your mouth must say, thank you for my healing. At first you will feel ridiculous. Tell your mind, I am not describing the present. I am prophesying the future. Shut up and watch. Persistence in the positive decree eventually collapses the structure of negativity. Matter cannot resist a sustained word. Fyce's revocation, the delete button. What if you make a mistake? What if a complaint, an insult, or a negative decree comes out? We are human. It happens to us. But the conscious operator has a tool, immediate revocation. If you let out a negative phrase, I am useless, do not leave it floating in the ether. Catch it in flight. Say immediately, cancel, cancel. Or say, I delete you order. That is not my truth. And repeat it corrected. I am capable and I am learning. Imagine you are a commander on a battlefield giving orders by radio. If you give the wrong coordinates, you immediately shout, abort, correct coordinates. You must have that same mental speed. Do not allow yourself to finish a negative thought. Cut it in half. Refuse to give it life. Over time, your subconscious will learn that you no longer accept garbage and will stop sending you negative thoughts. Fyce's tone and authority. It is not shouting, it is knowing. Many people believe that decreeing is shouting at the universe. They stand in front of the mirror and shout affirmations with tension and anxiety. That is fear disguised as strength. Real power is silent. God does not shout. A king does not shout his orders. He whispers them. He knows that the whole army is listening and obeying. The correct tone of the decree is serene authority. It is a deadly calm. It is the voice of someone who knows they cannot fail. Jesus did not shout at the storm hysterically. He simply said, peace, be still. And the sea calmed. That is the frequency we seek. Do not try to convince the universe, command it. But command it with the gentleness of one who knows that reality is their own consciousness. A decree whispered with absolute faith is more powerful than a shout full of doubt. X. The word is a double-edged sword. You must be aware that the scalpel cuts in both directions. If you use your word to curse others, to criticize, or to judge, you are cutting yourself. The universe is a circle. What comes out of your mouth goes around the world and hits you in the back of the neck. You cannot have a happy life with a dirty mouth. You cannot have health if you spend the day talking about the illnesses of others. You cannot have wealth if you criticize the rich. The master practices the impeccability of the word. If you have nothing constructive, true, or beautiful to say, say nothing. Every word you save is energy you conserve. Criticism is the lowest use of creative power. Blessing is the highest. Bless your money as you pay it. Bless your body. Bless your enemies. Blessing means well speaking, to say the good. To decree the good over a situation is to transform it. Chapter 8. Resistance and Surrender, the Paradox of Effort. You have reached a critical point in your training as an operator of reality. You have the mental blueprint, the magnetic feeling, and the sharp decree. Everything is ready. And yet, you look at your life and feel unbearable tension. You feel like you are pushing a rock uphill. You have been taught from cradle to grave a monumental lie. To achieve great things, you need great effort. They have told you, he who wants something must pay the price. No pain, no gain. You have to fight for your dreams. These phrases are the gospel of the ego. They are the programming of slavery. In this chapter, we are going to blow up the culture of sacrifice. We will explore the paradox of effort, why the more you physically struggle to change something from a place of lack, the further it moves away from you. And why, when you finally surrender, you do not resign, you surrender, the door opens by itself. Quantum physics and ancient Taoism, Wu Wei, agree. The universe is a system of flow. Brute force creates resistance. Resistance creates friction. Friction creates heat and wear, but no real movement. If you are exhausted, if you are fighting against your life, you are using the master key incorrectly. You are trying to open the door by pushing on the side of the hinges. It is time to learn the art of minimum action and maximum result. It is time to stop swimming against the current and learn to use the current to reach the ocean. The law of reversed effort, the quicksand effect. Aldous Huxley and the philosopher Alan Watts popularized a concept known as the law of reversed effort. This law states that when the will and the imagination are in conflict, the imagination always wins. But it has an operative corollary. The more you consciously try to do something that your subconscious believes impossible, the more difficult it becomes and the less success you have. Imagine you are in quicksand. Your instinct, the fearful ego, screams, "Fight! Move your legs! Get out of here!" But the physics of quicksand dictates that rapid movement liquefies the sand and creates a vacuum that sucks you down. The more you fight, the faster you die. The only way to survive is counterintuitive. You must stay still. You must relax. You must spread your arms and surrender to the surface to float. The same happens with insomnia. The more you struggle to sleep, "I have to fall asleep now," the more awake you are. You only fall asleep when you stop trying to sleep. The same happens with manifestation. If you are fighting to get out of poverty, you are churning the quicksand of scarcity. You are emitting a vibration of desperation. The universe reads your effort as a sign of lack of faith. If you had the absolute certainty that money is coming, would you be distressed working with fear? No. You would work, yes, but calmly, with pleasure. Excessive effort is proof that deep down, you believe that you, your small limited ego, are the only one who can do it, and that the universe does not support you. That belief is what blocks the flow. Tos, the physics of resistance. What you resist persists. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, left us the maxim, "What you resist persists." But this is not just psychology. It is Newton's third law applied to metaphysics. To every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. If you push against a wall, your problem, the wall pushes against you with the same force. As long as you maintain the pressure of "I hate my illness" or "I hate my debt," you are keeping the wall standing. You are giving it your energy to sustain itself. For the wall to fall, you must stop pushing it. You must withdraw your energy. Resistance is any form of non-acceptance of the present moment. It is the thought that says, "This should not be happening." But it is happening. By fighting reality, you lose 100% of the time. Resistance creates an energetic knot in your field. It acts as a dam. The water of life, the solution, money, health, wants to flow toward you. But your tension has closed the floodgates. The master does not resist evil. He transcends it. He does not fight the darkness with a sword. He simply turns on the light. He does not fight poverty. He simply inhabits abundance. The absence of resistance is what we call spiritual superconductivity. In a normal wire, there is resistance and energy is lost as heat. In a superconductor, resistance is zero and energy flows infinitely without loss. Your goal is to become a superconductor. Zero resistance to the flow of good. A third, surrender versus resignation. The vital distinction. Here we reach the most dangerous misunderstanding in spirituality. When I say surrender, the ego hears lose. Give up. Resign. They are not the same. They are polar opposites. Resignation, defeated ego, is passive and negative. There is nothing to be done. My life is trash. I'll just endure it. Resignation has a vibration of victimhood, bitterness, and hopelessness. It closes the heart. Surrender, wise master, is active and positive. I stop fighting the current. I accept this moment. I release control of how it will be solved and trust that infinite intelligence has already solved it. Surrender has a vibration of relief, trust, and openness. It opens the heart. Surrender is the act of handing over the problem to a higher power, your own divine consciousness. It is saying, "Ego, you don't know how to fix this. Step aside. Observer, take command." It is the moment when you let go of the steering wheel, because you realize the car drives itself better than with you nervously at the helm. Imagine you are in a rushing river. Resigning is drowning and letting yourself go to the bottom. Fighting is trying to swim upstream until exhaustion. Surrendering is lifting your feet, getting into a floating position, and letting the current carry you, using the oars only to direct the course gently. You know the river goes toward the sea, your desire. Your job is not to push the river, your job is to stay afloat. Fae-inspired action versus forced action. So I don't have to do anything? Do I just sit on the sofa waiting for the $1 million? This is the cynical question of the ego. The answer is, you will do things. You will do many things, but the quality of the action will be completely different. There are two types of action in the universe. Forced action from the ego. Born of fear, lack, and competition. It feels heavy, exhausting. You have to force yourself to do it. You procrastinate. The result is poor or requires a disproportionate sacrifice. It is rowing against the current. Inspired action from the being. Born of intuition, enthusiasm, and certainty. It feels light, timeless. You enter flow. You don't get tired. You lose track of time. Doors open by themselves. You meet the right people by chance. It is hoisting the sail and letting the wind carry you. The master key requires inspired action. How do you know the difference? By how it feels in the body. If you feel contraction in the stomach, tense shoulders, and anxiety, it is forced action. Stop. You are creating more karma, not solutions. If you feel expansion in the chest and curiosity, it is inspired action. Run. When you assume the state of the wish fulfilled, Chapter 6, the universe will give you impulses. Call this person. Go to this place. Write this email. Sometimes they seem illogical. Inspired action is obedience to those whispers. It is not inaction. It is aligned action. It is quantum efficiency. Feed the fertile void, letting go to receive. For something new to enter, something old must leave. It is the law of the vacuum. You cannot fill a cup that is already full. If you are clinging to your old life, your old relationships, your old broken furniture, your old grudges, there is no space for manifestation. Resistance often manifests as attachment. We attach even to our pain because it is ours. The act of surrender implies letting go, cleaning up, throwing away what does not serve, forgiving the unforgivable, not for them, but to free up space on your hard drive. Letting go of the need to be right. The universe abhors a vacuum. The moment you create an empty space with faith, the universe rushes to fill it. If you want new clothes, donate the old ones. If you want new love, stop stalking your ex on social media. Cut the energetic cord. That act of letting go is a demonstration of brutal faith. You tell the universe, I trust so much that the new is coming, that I get rid of the old before seeing the replacement. That is the attitude that collapses the wave. Fae's control is an illusion, the fallacy of the how. The greatest source of resistance is the obsession with the how. The ego is an obsessive micromanager. It wants to know the exact route, the time, the vehicle, and the color of the driver. If it doesn't see the how, it panics and says, it's impossible. Your conscious mind can only process a few variables at a time. Infinite intelligence processes trillions of variables simultaneously. Trying to control the how is like trying to direct global internet traffic with a whistle. You only manage to block the system. Surrendering means letting go of the how. Your job is the what and the why. The how, the logistics, is God's problem. Often the universe has paths that your logic cannot even imagine. If you decree money, the ego thinks, I have to work more hours. The universe might have planned an inheritance, a business idea, a gift, an investment that skyrockets. If you obsess over working more, you close the other doors. You tell the universe, I only accept money through the door of suffering. and the universe obeys. Surrendering is saying, "Universe, surprise me. I don't care about the channel, I only care about the destination. Be like water, it goes around the rock." 7. The God Box Technique. If you find it hard to let go of worry, use a physical tool. Take a small box. Write on it, Universe's Inbox or God Box. When you have a problem that generates resistance, write it down on a piece of paper. Describe the problem and write, "I hand this over to divine intelligence for its perfect solution. Thank you, it is done." Put the paper in the box and close the lid. The physical act of letting go of the paper symbolizes the mental act of letting go of the burden. Once it is in the box, it is no longer your problem. If you worry again, remember, "Oh no, that's in the box. The manager is handling it. I am just the employee who enjoys." You cannot open the box again to see if it was fixed. That is distrust. Leave it there. You will be surprised at how, within a few days or weeks, the problems inside the box have been resolved in magical ways without your forced intervention. Fate, active patience, the art of waiting. Resistance also disguises itself as impatience. Impatience is a declaration of lack. I don't have it yet and it hurts. It is a vibration of separation. Surrender implies active patience. It is not the patience of someone bored waiting for the bus. It is the patience of a pregnant woman. She knows the baby is there. She doesn't run marathons to speed up the labor. She takes care of herself. She prepares the crib. She smiles. She knows there is a gestation time that cannot be violated. When you have done your imaginal work, you enter the sabbatical. You rest in certainty. If you catch yourself looking at the universe's clock, why is it taking so long? You have fallen into resistance. Return to the center. Remember, time is an illusion. In the quantum plane, it is already done. The delay is just your eyes adjusting to the new light. Dice flowing with setbacks, mental judo. When an obstacle arises in the physical world, do not get rigid. Rigidity breaks. Flexibility survives. If you are driving and there is a detour, you don't get out of the car to scream at the sign. You simply turn the wheel and take the alternative route. Do the same with life. Judo uses the opponent's strength to bring them down. Use the strength of the problem to propel yourself. If you get fired, do not resist. It's unfair. Surrender to the fact, "Okay, I'm fired," and use it. Now I have free time to start my project. Thank you, universe, for the push. By offering no resistance to evil, evil is transformed into good. You transmute lead into gold through acceptance, the state of zero neutrality. The point of maximum creation is the 0 point. It is a state of neutrality where there is no desperate desire or aversion. It is Jesus, thy will be done. It is not submission to an external tyrant. It is the alignment of your small will with your great will. When you say, "I desire this, but if it doesn't arrive, I am still fine and complete," you eliminate resistance. You take away the object's power to make you happy or unhappy. You reclaim your sovereignty. And paradoxically, when you no longer need the object to survive emotionally, the object rushes toward you. The universe loves those who are free. The universe flees from the needy. Chapter 9, Revision of the Past, Changing the Timeline. You have learned to stop struggling and to use your word like a scalpel. But as you move toward your golden future, you feel a weight on your ankles. They are chains made of memories, of traumas, of mistakes made, and offenses received. You look back and see your past as an unchangeable granite statue. You tell yourself, "What is done is done. I cannot change what happened. I was abused, I was poor, I failed in that business. Those are the facts." This belief, the immutability of the past, is the last great shackle of the great hypnosis. Newtonian physics told you that time is an arrow that travels in only one direction. The master key reveals a dizzying truth. The past is as fluid as the future. In the quantum world, time is not linear, it is simultaneous. Everything is happening now. What you call past is simply an active memory trace in your brain in the present. If you change the memory in the present, you change its effect on your future. Literally, you change the timeline. This chapter gives you the pruning shears of revision. You will learn that you are not a victim of your history. You are the editor of your movie. A good editor knows that no scene is final until the movie premieres. You can cut, paste, and film a new scene that the universe will believe. The illusion of the straight line, the block universe. For your logical mind to accept revision, we must destroy its concept of time. Einstein proposed the block universe theory. Imagine time as a giant loaf of bread. Each slice is a moment. Past, present, and future exist all at once within the block. Your consciousness is like a light that illuminates one slice at a time. You call that present, but previous slices have not disappeared. You simply stopped illuminating them. When you remember something, your consciousness re-illuminates an old slice. But here is the secret. Observation alters the observed. You are not playing a fixed video file. Neuroscience discovered memory reconsolidation. Every time you bring a memory to consciousness, it becomes unstable and malleable. It is fresh clay again. When you save it back, you save it with the emotions and information you have now. You rewrite your brain every time you remember. If you remember trauma with pain, you reinforce the chain. If you remember a trauma and change its outcome in your imagination, you save it with a new chemical label. You have hacked the file. The universe does not distinguish between what happened 10 years ago and what you are imagining vividly now. It only reads the signal. If you change the past, the universe changes the future. 2. The pruning shears Neville's tool. Neville Goddard considered revision the most important tool of all. He said, "If you do not prune your past, you will perpetuate its weeds in your future." Imagine your life is a garden. Negative events of the day, an argument, bad news, a mistake, are weeds that have sprouted. If you go to sleep with those weeds intact, during the night they will take deep roots in your subconscious. Tomorrow they will wake up as giant trees of problems. Revision is the act of entering the mental garden at the end of the day and cutting what you did not like. But you do not just cut it, you graft a new branch. You replace the negative event with a positive one. It is not denial, this didn't happen. It is alchemy, this happened, but I choose to transmute it into this other thing. By revising, you are changing the cause. The present is the effect of the past. To change the effect, you must change the cause, your past. 3rd, the nightly revision protocol. Let's get practical. This is the exercise you should do every night for the rest of your life if you want total mastery. 1. Rewind the day. At bedtime, before entering the sat state, relax. Review your day in your mind, starting from the night and going backward to the morning. Only observe as if watching a movie. 2. Identify the friction. Stop at moments that caused pain, anger, fear, or disappointment. That argument, that bank letter, that sarcastic comment from your boss. These are the defective scenes. 3. The editing. Now take that scene and rewrite it. Imagine it happened exactly as you would have wished. Instead of the argument, imagine your partner smiled and thanked you. In place of the debt letter, imagine it said, approved. Feel the relief in your hands. 4. The reality loop. Repeat the new scene in your mind over and over. Give it tones of reality. Do it until it feels real and you feel a click of internal relief. 5. The effect on the timeline. But it's a lie. I know that didn't happen. That is the voice of the guardian of the threshold. For the guardian, physical facts are God. For the observer, physical facts are Play-Doh. Here is the amazing thing. If you revise an argument with faith, the next day the other person will act as if it never occurred. Why? Because by changing your memory, you changed your vibration toward that person. You stopped emitting the conflict signal and started emitting harmony. Since everyone is you pushed out, they have no choice but to reflect your new assumption. You have changed the timeline. In your new timeline, the relationship is healthy. I have seen people revise a failed job interview. They imagined the interviewer shaking their hand and saying, hired. Days later, they received a call. There was an error in selection. We want to see you again. Revision moves the invisible threads of reality to adjust the present to your new past. Healing deep trauma. Revision is not just for fixing the day. It is the supreme tool for healing childhood and old traumas. Many carry the weight of, my parents didn't love me, or I was poor as a child. That wounded child identity is creating your adult reality. You can travel back in time mentally and revise your childhood. It is not about erasing conscious memory, but about neutralizing its poison. Enter deep meditation. Go back to that moment of pain and change the scene. Imagine your parents giving you the love you needed. Hear the words, "We love you, you are valuable." Feel the hug, feel the safety. By doing this, you are altering your subconscious database. You are removing the victim label from your identity code. Suddenly, you will stop reacting like a wounded child. You will stop sabotaging your success. Why? Because in your new psychic structure, you were a loved child. And a loved child becomes a successful adult. There's radical forgiveness, divine forgetfulness. Revision is the true definition of forgiveness. Conventional forgiveness is arrogant. It says, "You did something bad to me, but I am so good that I forgive you even though I remember what you did." That releases nothing. It maintains the wound and moral superiority. Mystical forgiveness, revision, says, "You did nothing to me because in my revised reality, that event never occurred or occurred differently." It is divine forgetfulness. God promises, "And their sins I will remember no more." If God, your higher self, does not remember, the sin does not exist. If you still remember the offense you have not forgiven, you remain tied to the victim's timeline. Revising the offense is freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. You don't do it for the other, you do it to clear your own manifestation channel. You cannot manifest wealth if your channel is clogged with resentment. Certes, instant revision, the art of non-reaction. You do not have to wait for the night to revise. The master practices revision in situ. In the moment something unpleasant happens, the master denies it internally and revises it on the spot. Bad news arrives by email. You feel the blow in your stomach. Immediately, cut. This is not so. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine the email says the opposite. Feel the relief. Open your eyes. Continue your day with the vibration of the revised email, not the physical email. This requires a mental discipline of steel. It requires that you not let yourself be dragged by the initial emotional reaction. It is as if you fell into the mud and got up so fast that the mud had no time to dry and stain you. Accept no evidence that you do not desire as part of your destiny. Faith, can we revise for others? Yes, in fact, it is the greatest act of love you can perform. If you see a friend sick, poor, or in trouble, do not join their misery. Do not pity them. Pity decrees they are weak. Revise their situation. Hear them telling you they are better. See them strong and prosperous in your imagination. Maintain that image firmly, even if they complain. You are the guardian of their vision when they cannot hold it. Often, your revision will lift the other. They will feel a change in energy or find the solution magically. You have used your master key to open your brother's cell. This is white magic. Right. Tell the paradox of lies and truth. The ego will accuse you. You are living in a lie. You are denying reality. You must respond, "I am denying the temporal to affirm the eternal." What is more true? The illness that lasts a month or the health that is your natural state? The poverty that is a programming error or the abundance that is your divine heritage? Revision is the act of imposing spiritual truth over factual lies. Facts change. Truth remains. By revising, you are aligning the facts with the truth. You are not lying. You are correcting an error in the projection. If the projector has a smudge on the lens, the image comes out dirty. Revising is cleaning the lens. X, the inverse butterfly effect. We know that a small change in the past can create enormous changes in the future. Butterfly effect. Revision uses this principle in your favor. By changing a small feeling of the past, transforming a fear into confidence, you change the entire trajectory of your future life. If you revise the moment they told you you are worth nothing and turn it into you are brilliant, you change your self-esteem. That new self-esteem leads you to ask for a raise, to dare to innovate, to choose a better partner. A single act of revision can change your destiny 10 years later. Never underestimate this power. Chapter 10, The Quantum Mirror. Everyone is you pushed out. You have crossed iron gates. You have silenced the ego. You have learned to revise the past. But now, Master, I ask you to stop before the most terrifying door of all, the one with a full-length mirror. Here lies the final secret of human relations, the secret that ends all wars, all divorces, and all conflicts. Prepare yourself, because your ego is going to kick and scream. It is going to cry injustice, and it will tell you that others are guilty, that they hurt you, that they are independent of you. But the master key does not turn with comforting lies. It turns with radical truths. The truth is this: there is no one out there. What you see as others, your partner, your boss, your enemies, your friends, are not separate entities acting at random. They are reflections. They are actors hired by your subconscious to perform the script that you wrote in silence. Neville Goddard formulated this with a phrase that shakes the foundations of victimhood. Everyone is you pushed out. This chapter is the Hall of Mirrors. If you have the courage to enter and not break the glass, you will discover that you have never been fighting against the world. You have only been fighting against yourself. The illusion of separation, the great magic trick. You look around and see separate bodies. You see distances. You see minds that seem alien to your own. Sensory hypnosis tells you, I am I, and you are you. We are separate. This separation is necessary for the game of life. If you knew all the time that you were playing chess against yourself, the game would lose its grace. You need the illusion of the other to experience love, conflict, and forgiveness. But the master knows that, at the quantum and spiritual level, separation is a functional lie. We are all connected by an invisible network of unified consciousness. Imagine that you are the ocean. The waves seem individual on the surface. One wave can crash against another, but underneath both are the same water. There is no real separation. In your personal reality, you are the operant consciousness. You are the god of your universe. Others are the waves that respond to your internal tides. If you are at peace, the ocean calms down. If you are in a storm, the waves hit you. You cannot blame the wave for getting you wet. The wave only obeys the physics of the ocean. You. 2. The projector and the human screen. Let's return to the cinema metaphor. You are the projector. Your mind, beliefs, assumptions, identity is the film. The people around you are not the audience. They are the screen. The screen has no will of its own to decide which image to show. If the projector sends an image of betrayal, the screen must show a scene of betrayal. The people in your life faithfully reflect what you believe about yourself and about them. They are messengers. If you deeply believe, I am not worthy of love, the universe will move people to confirm it. Your partner will become cold. Your friends will forget you. Not because they are bad, but because they must reflect your code. If you change the movie and assume, I am loved and respected, the same people will change their behavior or leave your life to let in others who match the new movie. You cannot change people by shouting at them, just as you cannot change the movie by shouting at the screen. You must change the role in the projection booth. 3. Others as witnesses. Do not kill the messenger. When someone treats you badly, your first reaction is to blame them. He is a narcissist. She is a tyrant. It is unfair. The ego loves having external enemies. It makes it feel superior and a victim at the same time. But the law of the quantum mirror says, no one comes into your life unless invited by your vibration. That difficult person is a witness. They are showing you a part of yourself that you do not want to see. If you feel ignored, ask yourself, in what part of my life am I ignoring myself? If you feel judged, ask yourself, how harshly do I judge myself in secret? The other is doing you the favor of externalizing your dialogue. They are showing you your own shadows so that you can heal them. Instead of hating the messenger, thank them for the information and correct the message within you. For free will, the final controversy. Here we enter dangerous territory. The ego asks, does this mean that others do not have free will? Are they robots? The answer is complex. They have free will in their reality, but in your reality, they play the role you assign to them. It is an agreement of souls. If you go through life with the role of victim, you are emitting an energetic casting. Executioner wanted. Someone with the propensity to be an executioner will catch the signal and accept the role in your movie. In your universe, that person is not free to be kind to you while you maintain the victim script. They are energetically forced to mistreat you to fulfill the law of correspondence. This sounds harsh, but it is the ultimate liberation. It means you do not need to convince anyone to love you. You do not need to manipulate or beg. You only need to change your own script, and they will change or they will leave. You are the director of the play. The actors can improvise a little, but they cannot step out of the movie's genre. If it is a drama, they will cry. If it is a comedy, they will laugh. You decide the genre. Changing others without talking to them. The practical application of this is thought transmission. If you have a problem with someone, stop arguing with them in the physical world, 3D. Words often make things worse. Go to your mental workshop, bring that person before your mind's eye, and start talking to them there, but not to fight, to change the script. Visualize that person telling you exactly what you want to hear. If it is your critical boss, imagine him telling you, "Great job, I value you very much." If it is your distant partner, imagine her telling you, "I love you and I want to be with you." Hear it with such clarity that it feels real. Feel the satisfaction of reconciliation. Do it over and over until your anger toward that person disappears. When you change your concept of them in your mind, they have to change in the physical world. I have seen miracles with this. Tyrant bosses who become sweet overnight, partners who return asking for forgiveness. People respond to your subconscious telepathic transmission more than to your shouts. Try it. Change the internal conversation and watch how the external conversation changes. Romantic relationships, the mirror of love. Your partner is your most polished mirror. It is the one who reflects your deepest insecurities. If you are afraid of abandonment, your partner will become elusive. Not because they want to leave, but because your fear pushes them. Jealousy is the declaration, "I am not enough." Your partner will reflect that by looking for others or making you feel insecure. You cannot have a secure relationship if your identity is insecure. To heal your relationship, heal yourself. Fill yourself with self-love. Assume that you are the prize. Assume that you are irresistible. When you treat yourself like a king, queen, your partner automatically starts treating you like that. Do not demand from your partner what you do not give to yourself. If you want attention, pay attention to yourself. The mirror cannot give you what you do not have in front of it. Be the source of your own love. Service, the boss and money, the mirror of power. Your work and economic situation is also people. Money comes through people. If you believe that people are mean or no one values my work, you will find bosses and clients who will haggle over every penny. They are only reflecting your low self-valuation. If you do not pay yourself first, no one will pay you well. Raise your internal price. Assume that your service is valuable and unique. You will see how generous clients and bosses who promote you appear. The business world is a theater of assumptions. The one who assumes authority receives authority. The one who assumes servitude receives orders. 30. The metaphysical golden rule. Jesus said, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." This is not just moral advice, it is a law of metaphysical protection, because others are you. If you criticize someone, you are criticizing yourself. You are sending poison into the system of which you are a part. If you wish ill on another, you are decreeing ill for your own world. You cannot harm another without harming yourself, because there is no other. The Master treats everyone with respect and benevolence, not out of holiness, but out of intelligent selfishness. He knows that everything he gives returns multiplied. Bless your enemies and you bless yourself. Wish them success and you attract success. 9. The end of guilt and judgment. When you understand that everything is a mirror, guilt disappears. You can no longer blame your parents, society, or the government. They only played the role that your collective and individual consciousness assigned to them. This is terrifying at first. Did I create all this mess? But then it is empowering. If you created it, you can uncreate it. Radical responsibility is the door to freedom. You stop judging. When you see a beggar, you do not judge him. You recognize a part of you that believes in scarcity. You bless him and clear your own mind of poverty. When you see a tyrant, you recognize a part of you that wants control. You bless him and let go of control. The world becomes a school of constant self-knowledge. Chapter 11, The Mental Diet. Hygiene of consciousness. You have come a long way. You have learned to observe, to feel, to decree, and to revise. You hold the tools of a god in your hands. But there is a final danger, one so subtle and omnipresent that it has toppled initiates, kings, and masters throughout history: gradual intoxication. Imagine you are an Olympic athlete. You train 8 hours a day, you have the best technique, you have the mindset of a winner. But every night, you eat rotten junk, you drink diluted poison, and you breathe toxic smoke. Will you win the medal? No. Your body will collapse. No matter how much you train, visualize, if your fuel daily thought is toxic, your performance will be nil. Humanity lives in a mental landfill. We worry obsessively about what we put into our mouths: calories, gluten, sugar, but we indiscriminately swallow any mental trash that comes our way. We breakfast on tragedies in the news, lunch on gossip with co-workers, and dine on violence on Netflix. And between meals, we snack on thoughts of doubt, self-criticism, and fear. This chapter is about the mental diet. It is not a suggestion, it is a spiritual medical order. If you want to manifest a life of gold, you cannot have a mind of lead. Manifestation does not occur only in the hour of your meditation. It occurs 24 hours a day. If you build for 30 minutes and destroy for 16 hours, the balance is negative. It is time to clean the temple. It is time to close the doors to the merchants of chaos. Either factory never closes. Your mind is a reality creation factory that works 24/7. It has no off switch. Every thought is a production order. The subconscious does not judge the quality of the order, it only executes it. If you think, "What a horrible day," the factory starts weaving circumstances so that your day is indeed horrible. If you think, "I am a magnet for money," the factory starts moving the threads of the economy toward you. The problem is that most people have left the factory on autopilot, and autopilot is programmed by society, which is sick with fear. You let anyone enter your factory and touch the buttons. A sarcastic comment from a friend, an alarmist news story, a sad memory. Everything enters and becomes a product. The mental diet consists of firing the autopilot and putting an armed security guard at the factory entrance. You decide what enters. You decide what is produced. It is a benevolent dictatorship. In your mind, you are the emperor, and no rebellious thought has the right to live without your permission. The poison of the world. News fasting. The first step of the mental diet is to cut off the supply of external poison. We live in the information age, which is actually the infection age. Media, social networks, and advertising are not designed to inform you. They are designed to hijack your amygdala. They sell fear, they sell indignation. They sell lack. You lack this to be happy. Every time you see a news item about economic crises, wars, or pandemics, and you react emotionally to it, you are ingesting a capsule of vibratory cyanide. You are accepting that reality as yours. You are saying, "Yes, the world is dangerous and scarce, I accept that programming." And then you wonder why money doesn't come to you, or why you get sick. The master practices radical media fasting. Stop watching the news. Stop reading sensationalist newspapers. Stop following social media accounts that make you feel inferior or angry. You won't miss anything important. If World War III breaks out, you'll hear about it from your neighbors. But you will save yourself from the 99.9% of irrelevant tragedies that only serve to lower your vibration. Your attention is the most valuable currency in the universe. Do not give it away to the merchants of fear. Protect your eyes and your ears as if your life depended on it, because your dream life depends on it. Third, the toxic roommate, your internal dialogue. External poison is bad, but internal poison is lethal. We all have a roommate in our heads who never shuts up. He complains about the weather. He judges people walking down the street. He remembers embarrassments from 10 years ago. He rehearses imaginary arguments. Neville Goddard said, "Inner dialogue is the mental activity that creates the facts of life." Observe your mind right now. What are you telling yourself? Are you arguing mentally with your boss? If so, you are scripting your next dismissal or real conflict. Are you criticizing your partner in your head? You are scripting the divorce. Are you justifying why you can't pay for something? You are scripting bankruptcy. The mental diet requires you to supervise every internal conversation. If you catch yourself having a negative conversation, cut. Do not finish it. Do not let it reach the period at the end. It is as if you saw a child playing with knives. You take them away immediately. Substitute the conversation. Instead of arguing with the boss, imagine he congratulates you. Listen to his voice giving you good news. At first, your mind will resist. It will tell you that you are delusional. Tell your mind, I'd rather be a happy and rich delusionist than a bitter and poor realist. Now repeat with me. Everything always works out in my favor. Face the 7-day challenge, Emmett Fox. The great master Emmett Fox proposed a challenge that has transformed thousands of lives, but which very few manage to complete on the first attempt. The 7-day mental diet. The rules are simple but brutal. 1. For 7 consecutive days, you cannot allow yourself to harbor a single negative thought. It is not that the thought does not arrive. That is inevitable. It is about not entertaining it. 2. If a negative thought arrives, I am going to get sick, I have no money, that guy is an idiot, you have 10 seconds to kill it or transform it. 3. If you ruminate on the thought for more than a minute, you have broken the diet. If you break the diet, you have to start over from day 1. It is not worth resuming. The counter returns to 0. Does it seem easy? Try it. Most people don't get past the first hour. They realize they are addicted to negativity, addicted to complaining, addicted to judgment. But if you manage to complete the 7 days, you will have broken the biological addiction to stress peptides. You will have rewired your brain. Your life will change so drastically that you will not recognize your previous reality. Chronic problems will disappear. Toxic people will leave. Money will flow. Because you will have cleaned the channel. V. Radical inhibition, the stop button. To succeed on the diet, you need a pattern interruption tool. When the train of negative thought starts rolling downhill, it gains speed. If you don't stop it at the beginning, it is unstoppable. You need an emergency brake. Use a trigger word. It can be enough, stop, cancelled, or lie. Say it with internal authority, or out loud if you're alone. Accompany the word with a physical gesture, a snap of fingers, a clap, or a sudden change of posture. The goal is to jerk your brain out of the habitual neural groove. When the fear of illness arises, shout internally, lie, I am perfect health, next thought. Treat negative thoughts as if they were annoying telemarketers. You don't dialogue with them. You don't explain why you don't want to buy. You simply hang up the phone. Courtesy with negativity is weakness. Be rude to your demons. Verse nutritional substitution. Do not leave the plate empty. Nature abhors a vacuum. You cannot simply eliminate a negative thought and leave the mind blank, unless you are a Zen master. If you leave the space empty, the negative thought will return with more force. You must substitute. You must have a gourmet thought menu prepared in advance. Make a list of 5 powerful affirmations or memories that make you feel good instantly. 1. Money flows to me easily. 2. I am loved and I am safe. 3. The memory of your best trip. 4. Your child's laughing face. 5. The sensation of your future success. The moment you apply the stop to the negative thought, immediately insert one of these positive thoughts. Fill the space. It is like taking junk food away from a child and giving them a delicious apple instead. In time, your mind will learn to prefer the apple. It will learn that negativity is painful and positivity is pleasurable. 7. The environment as a menu. You are who you walk with. It is very difficult to maintain a clean mental diet if you eat in a dump. Your social environment is your mental dining room. If your friends spend their lives complaining about the economy, criticizing the government, or gossiping about others, they are vomiting on you. And you, by mirror neurons and empathy, will eat that vomit. You have to make tough decisions. You must distance yourself from energy vampires and chronic complainers. You don't have to judge them or hate them. Simply, you cannot afford their influence. If you cannot distance yourself physically, because they are family or co-workers, you must put on a mental hazmat suit. When they start complaining, dissociate. Do not nod. Do not participate. Repeat your mantra internally. Visualize a glass wall between you and them, and as soon as you can, flee. Seek the company of soul nutritionists, people who talk about ideas, projects, gratitude, growth. If you don't know anyone like that, it's better to be alone. Fertile solitude is infinitely more nourishing than toxic company. Read books by great masters. Listen to audios that elevate you. Make friends with dead authors who vibrate high. 8. Nightly digestion. Do not go to bed with indigestion. We return to sleep because it is vital. Night is the moment of mental digestion. The last thing you think about before sleeping is what your subconscious will chew on for 8 hours. If you go to sleep angry, do not let the sun go down on your anger. You go to sleep with poison in your stomach. Your subconscious will digest that anger and turn it into body tissue, illness, or future circumstances, more conflicts. The mental diet requires a nightly stomach pump ritual. Before closing your eyes, forgive everyone, clean the day. Use the technique of revision, chapter 9, to neutralize the bad. Ensure that your last thought is sweet, constructive, and of peace. Tell yourself, the day is over, everything is fine. Tomorrow will be a masterpiece. Thank you. Enter sleep clean. You will wake up with energy, with solutions, and with a sense of purity that will attract miracles. Jais relapse and mercy. You are going to fail. You are going to have a bad day. You are going to explode with your partner. You are going to sink into fear. It is part of the detoxification process. The danger is not falling. The danger is guilt. Guilt is a second-generation negative thought. It is poison upon poison. I am an idiot. I broke the diet. I'm never going to make it. That is worse than the original error. If you fail, apply the 3-second rule. Give yourself 3 seconds to recognize the error. Forgive yourself and get back on the horse. Do not analyze the failure. Do not cry over spilled milk. Simply say, okay, that was a slip, it's over. Now I return to my center, I am power. Mercy toward yourself is the key to persistence. Be strict with your thoughts, but kind to your heart. Silence the palate cleanser. Sometimes the mind is so saturated that you cannot put in positive thoughts. In that case, do not eat anything. Do a total fast. Seek silence. Sit for 10 minutes and concentrate only on your breathing. Do not decree. Do not visualize. Do not think. Just be. Silence is the universe's palate cleanser. It resets the nervous system. It lowers the static noise so you can retune to the correct station. Silence reminds you that you are not your thoughts. You are the space where thoughts occur. From that space of void, you can better choose your next mental dish. Chapter 12, The Master Key. The revelation of the I Am. We have reached the end of the journey. Or rather, we have reached the point where the journey ends and real life begins. You have dismantled the illusion of matter. You have tamed the ego. You have learned to imagine, to feel, to decree, and to revise. You have cleaned your mind and forgiven your mirrors. You have all the tools of the magician on the table. But one question remains floating in the air, a question that has tormented humanity since the first man looked at the stars and felt the cold of cosmic loneliness. The question is, who is the magician? Who is the one who imagines? Who is the one who feels? If you answer with your name and surname, e.g., I am John Doe, you have failed. John Doe is only the mask, the avatar, the perishable biological suit. John Doe has fear, has a history, has limits. John Doe cannot operate the master key. The master key is not a technique, it is not a visualization. The master key is an identity. It is the terrifying and glorious discovery that the God you have sought in stone temples, in sacred books, and in distant heavens was never out there. The God who operates miracles, the creator of heavens and earth, the Father who grants all desires, is looking through your eyes. His name is your name. His being is your being. His name is I Am. This chapter is the surrender of the throne. It is the moment when the child stops playing with toys and assumes the crown. Prepare for vertigo. Prepare for sovereignty. The mystery of the burning bush. Let us travel to the Sinai desert, to the foundational moment of monotheism and Western metaphysics. Moses, a stuttering fugitive, finds himself before a bush that burns without being consumed. A voice speaks to him from the fire and commands him to free his people. Moses, trembling, asks, "Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them?" The answer given by the bush is the most powerful metaphysical formula ever uttered. I am that I am. And he adds, "Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you." Exodus 3:14. Stop and reflect. God did not say, "My name is Jehovah." He did not say, "My name is the universe." He said, "I am." It is a verb. It is a declaration of existence in the first person, present tense. It is not "I was," past memory. It is not "I will be," future hope. It is "I am." It is the pure conscious existence of being. Every time you say "I am," you are pronouncing the name of God. You are not using the name of God. You are being the name of God. The tragedy of humanity is that it has forgotten that "I am" is a divine proper name and uses it as a trivial pronoun to bind itself to limitations. They say, "I am poor, I am sick." They are taking the creative power of the universe, the master key, and using it to create mud and chains. The final revelation is this: your consciousness of being, that sensation of existing that you have before thinking about your name or your body, is God. It is not a part of God. It is God himself in his totality, voluntarily self-limited within the human form to experience his own creation. 2. Unconditioned consciousness, the pearl of great price. To use the master key, you must find it, and to find it, you must remove everything that covers it. Your I am is buried under layers of conditioning. I am a man. I am a lawyer. I am a father. Those words in parentheses are the attributes. They are the clothes God is wearing, but the clothes are not the being. If you take off the clothes of lawyer, you still are. If you take off the clothes of man, you still are. If you take off the physical body in death, you still are. Do this radical exercise right now. Close your eyes. Forget your name. Forget your face. Forget your personal history. Forget your debts and achievements. Forget where you are. Forget that you have a body. What is left? There remains a sense of presence, a floating, silent, formless consciousness, dark and vast, like deep space. That feeling of I exist, without any added label, is unconditioned consciousness. It is God naked. It is the primal substance from which all worlds are made. That apparent nothingness is, in reality, the potential everything. It is the pearl of great price of which Jesus spoke. The merchant, you, sells everything he has, renounces all his limiting beliefs, to buy that pearl, pure consciousness. When you touch that state of I am alone, you are in the sanctum sanctorum. You are at the 0 point of creation. From there, and only from there, you can create anything. Thus, the grammar of reality, subject plus predicate. The universe does not work with magic. It works with divine grammar. The formula of creation is always the same. Subject, I am, plus predicate, feeling, concept. Manifested reality. The subject, I am, is constant. It is God. It is neutral. It does not change. The predicate, what you believe yourself to be, is variable. It is the illusion. Manifested reality is the child of that marriage. If you join I am with rich, you give birth to wealth. If you join I am with victim, you give birth to executioners. Most people try to change the manifested reality without changing the predicate, while the subject, God, keeps begetting the same thing. It is useless to try to change your life by manipulating external facts. You have to change the mystical union within. The master key is the ability to marry the I am with the concept you choose at will, regardless of what the senses say. You are the priest who officiates that wedding. You can say right now, I am, pause, perfect health. If you feel it as a fact, the pregnancy is instantaneous in the quantum world. 5v. The jealous God and psychological fidelity. The Bible says that God is a jealous God, and that thou shalt have no other gods before me. Interpreted literally, it seems like the whim of a cosmic tyrant. Interpreted metaphysically with the master key, it is a psychological law of protection. Your God is your consciousness, I am. Other gods are secondary causes, beliefs in external powers. If you believe that money, medicine, government, luck, or the weather are responsible for your happiness, you are worshipping other gods. You are giving your power to idols. You are saying, the virus is more powerful than I am. That is spiritual idolatry, and the price of idolatry is slavery. The jealous God, your consciousness, asks of you absolute fidelity. He asks you to recognize that there is no other cause. There is only one cause in the universe, your own wonderful consciousness. Nothing happens to you that you have not invited vibratorily. This radical responsibility is the weight of the crown. At first, the ego hates this. The ego wants to blame mom, dad, the boss, and fate. But the master loves this truth, because if I am the only cause of my disaster, then I am the only cause of my salvation. V. Jesus as a state of consciousness. Neville Goddard taught something that shook orthodoxy. Jesus is not just a historical man, he is a state of consciousness. Jesus Christ is the name of your own redeemed and awakened imagination. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Colossians 1:27. Let us look at the miracles of Jesus with the master key. When Jesus walks on water, he teaches us that the awakened I am can walk on turbulent emotions without sinking. When Jesus multiplies the loaves and fishes, he teaches us that the I am can take the little, a feeling of gratitude, and multiply it into infinite abundance. When Jesus raises Lazarus, he teaches us how to revive a dead desire. Lazarus, your unfulfilled desire, is dead, smells bad, and is buried in a cave with a stone in front. People, your senses and doubts, cry and say, it is impossible. But you, the Christ consciousness, reach the tomb. Take ye away the stone. Eliminate logical judgment and sensory doubt. Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. Enter the state of anticipated gratitude. Lazarus, come forth. Call your desire with authority, commanding it to manifest. You are the resurrector. Every time you say, I am able, you are raising the dead. By the cross, the sacrifice of the ego. If Jesus is your imagination, then the crucifixion is not a bloody tragedy, but the supreme act of mental transformation. The cross is the intersection of two lines, time, horizontal, and eternity, vertical. To be born again, you must die. Except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. What has to die? Your old concept of yourself. You cannot be the rich person and remain alive as the poor person. The poor person must be crucified. You must nail your old beliefs and fears to the cross of silence. You must let them bleed to death from lack of attention. It is painful. The ego screams on the cross, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? It feels it is losing its identity. But then comes the surrender. Into thy hands I commend my spirit. And finally, the resurrection. Do not fear psychological death. It is the door to abundant life. 7. The name that opens doors. There is an ancient legend that says, whoever knows the secret name of God has power over all things. That name is not a magic word in Hebrew that you must pronounce with perfect intonation. That name is a feeling of being. When Jesus said, I am the door, I am the way, he was speaking of the divine principle. The master key works like this. When you face a closed door, illness, poverty, do not ask for it to open. Declare your identity with the solution. Do not say, God, please heal me. That implies separation. Enter the silence and feel, I am the resurrection and the life. If you are the life, illness cannot coexist with you. It is like darkness trying to coexist with light. It disappears. Do not say, I need money. Feel, I am the infinite provision. Become the desired thing. Merge with it. That fusion is the key. Fate, scientific prayer, the art of union. True prayer is not asking an external God to change his plans to please you. True prayer is the act of self-tuning. It is moving your consciousness from the state of the problem to the state of the solution. The final technique of the master key is contemplative silence. Sit in solitude. Close your eyes. Disconnect from your senses. Mentally repeat, I am, I am, I am, without predicates. Just feel your pure existence. Feel yourself floating in space. When you feel expanded, formless, when you are pure water, pour that water into the mold of your desire. Feel, I am happy. I am free. I am love. Stay there until the mold is full, until you feel saturated with that quality. Open your eyes. It is already done. You have imprinted the original matrix. Lies the promise, the end of fear. When you truly possess the master key, something wonderful happens. Fear disappears. Fear only exists when you believe you are a small creature in a hostile and random universe. When you know that you are the operator, the creator of your reality, what will you fear? Poverty. You can create wealth with your mind. Solitude. You can manifest love. Death. You know you are eternal consciousness, and that death is only taking off an old suit to put on a new one. You live in a state of real security, not the security of money in the bank, but the security of your ability to generate reality at will. The Master Key teaches you to fish for realities. You will never be a victim again. You will never be a beggar again. You will walk the earth with the dignity of an exiled god who has remembered who he is and is returning home. X, the great paradox, having everything to need nothing. And here we reach the final irony of the spiritual path. You will use the Master Key to get the money, the house, the partner, and the health, and you will have them. The universe will give them to you. But when you reach that level of consciousness, you will realize that you no longer need them to be happy. You will discover that the joy of creating is superior to the pleasure of having. You will discover that your greatest treasure is not the things you manifested, but the power you discovered in yourself during the process. The gift is not the palace. The gift is knowing that you are the king. The material world will become your playground, your canvas, your dance. You will no longer play out of necessity. You will play for the pure pleasure of seeing how your Father's light shines through your works. Conclusion: the door was always open. You have reached the last page. At this moment you have two options. Close this book and place it on a shelf like another intellectual trophy, or close this book and use it to set fire to your old life. Throughout this journey we have spoken of keys, locks, codes, and tools. We have used metaphors of construction, engineering, and magic. But all those words were only fingers pointing at the moon. Do not stare at the finger. The final truth, the one you can only accept now that you have walked the path, is devastating in its simplicity. The door was never closed. There was no demonic guard preventing your passage. There was no capricious god demanding sacrifices of pain. There was no cosmic conspiracy designed to keep you poor, sick, or alone. The door was kept closed by a single force. Your own hand pushing it from the other side. You pushed with your fear. You pushed with your belief in scarcity. You pushed with your insistence that salvation was out there. Your very effort to enter was what kept you outside. Now you have stopped pushing, you have surrendered. You have accepted that you and the Father are one, and by releasing the tension, the door has yielded. You realize with a silent and inner laugh that you never left the kingdom. You only dreamed that you were exiled. The cell was imaginary. The bars were made of smoke. The jailer was your own ego in disguise. From this moment on, you no longer have excuses. You can no longer blame the economy, or your parents, or your luck. You know too much. Ignorance was a blessing that you have lost forever. Now you possess the terrifying and wonderful responsibility of the Creator. If your world collapses, you know how to rebuild it. If your world flourishes, you know whom to thank. Do not go out into the street to try to convince anyone of this. Do not preach. Do not argue. The best way to teach this secret is to embody it. Be the living proof. Be so inexplicably happy, so magnetically prosperous, and so radiantly healthy that people stop in your path and ask, "What is your secret?" And then, only then, you can smile and tell them, "I discovered that the key was in my pocket." The book ends here, but your masterpiece has just begun. The canvas is blank. The paint is your imagination. The brush is your attention. Do not wait until tomorrow. Eternity only exists now.